there was so much uncertainty about what was happening in the Strait. We wanted that help, and the fact that they came back and said, no, this is your war, you deal with it, I think was very shocking. Right now, the UK and the US, I know, are on a little bit of, I wouldn't say dicey terms, but I think after we were told flat out no by the Prime Minister there, it definitely created a little bit of a rift, which was why, of course, we saw the King and the Queen come to try to repair a little bit of those strenuous relationships right now.
Absolutely. And let's be clear, very clear. America, not only did we do it on our own, and we could do it on our own, but we know that opening up the Strait of Hormuz benefits not just the American economy, but every economy around the world. That's why President Trump wanted a coalition.
You're watching theDove TV, encouraging and informative for San Rafael and the North Bay. Seen on KQSL 17 and these Dove TV affiliates. Good morning. You're tuned to theDove, encouraging and informative, helping Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, and Nevada start the day with news and encouragement. This is Mornings on the Dove.
Well, good morning to you and happy Monday. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. And ladies and gentlemen, no, I'm not alone. Only here am I alone, but I am always in the company of friends, and especially a good one today. Our southern correspondent to the southern hemisphere of the United States, Steve Johnson, is with us this morning, live from Tucson, Arizona. How you doing, buddy?
Harry, you're alone, but you're never alone. We're always here for you, man. I got my coffee. I'm ready to go, and people are wondering why.
Why? Why are we doing this?
That's right.
Good to see you, friend. How are you?
Hey, it is good to see you, too. I got to tell you, I'm here in Tucson, and oddly enough, we might get some rain. This is pretty unusual. We haven't had it for a long time, so I'm thinking that perhaps an Oregon-Arizona connection is bringing rain down here. Even though you may not be having it, we could be getting it. So
we're having Tucson weather, 100 degrees.
Well, we're supposed to have that, too.
Yeah. So 100 degrees rain in Tucson means tsunamis, doesn't it?
It did cross through my mind. This would be awfully early, but it could be. And that's when it really comes down. We had hail the other time, and it ripped the El Camino's roof to shreds. So hopefully that won't happen again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, good to see you. And Steve's going to be with us a couple of days. He's awake and shiny down there. A lot going on in the news today. And do we have a deal? I don't know. They said we have a deal. We'll see if we have a deal.
You know, I am noticing the reporters are having a hard time deciding how to put this because Trump says everything is signed. Well, not yet, not signed. Everything is planned for a deal. Even Iran says that. But no one's actually put their pen to paper yet.
Yeah.
So do we have one? It's a good question.
Well, I tell you one thing, we were commenting on this a little early, but the president's doing an excellent job by boxing him in globally by going public with it.
Well, I think the other thing is this. Here he is on his way to the G7.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? They held it up because of his birthday, apparently. It was supposed to start Sunday. So they held it up. He's flying there. And all the world has been looking at this whole oil thing. Yeah. And he can actually say, we've got a deal. I mean, he's winning on so many different counts here that I think in his mind it's a victory already.
Well, there you go. All right. Hey, good morning to you. Happy Monday. It is Monday, the beginning of another week. And I will say there's a lot of graduations going on this week. A lot have already happened. You got Father's Day coming up next Sunday. The official 250th birthday of the United States was officially launched. The celebration launched last night at the White House. We'll talk about that. So a lot going on. Anything special today?
Yeah, you know, it's very historic from a government standpoint. The Magna Carta was put into place. And really, when you think of it, the Magna Carta is the basis for so much of the Declaration of Independence and other government forms. 1215, King John signed it in near Windsor in Surrey. So near Windsor, that's near where the king hangs out. It's also 1775, a historic day. George Washington was appointed the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army a day after Congress established it. And, you know, he only had a lot of difficulties after that. So it's almost like You know what you're getting into, George? He found out pretty soon afterward, that's for sure. Not such a good day for Paris. Back in 1940, German troops occupied Paris as the French resistance crumbled. So World War II was well on its way after the Polish invasion there. So a little bit of historical history for you right there.
There you
historical
go.
history. I guess that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Hey, you haven't met our new staff member, have you, Alfred?
I've heard of Alfred.
Alfred Inman, yeah. Here he is doing the weather right here.
Here's a look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Across northern Oregon and southern Washington, increasing clouds later today with highs near 97 in Vancouver and 99 in Portland. Wilsonville turns hotter near 102, while McMinnville stays mostly sunny with highs close to 99. Through the Willamette Valley, hot conditions continue with Salem near 100. Mostly sunny skies hold from Albany through Corvallis with highs in the upper 90s, while Eugene reaches the mid-90s. Central Oregon starts with increasing clouds from Pineville through Bend and Sun River with afternoon highs ranging from the upper 80s to lower 90s. Over in Boise, Idaho, temperatures also heat up near 92. Along the Oregon coast, Cruz Bay sees increasing clouds with highs near 81. We'll see sunny skies in Port Orford near 77 and 67 in Crescent City, while Brookings turns sunny after morning fog with highs in the low 60s. Southern Oregon remains hot with highs around 102 in Grants Pass and near 103 in Medford. Ashland reaches the upper 90s, while sunny skies continue in Klamath Falls with highs in the low 90s. Northern California heats up with Wairika near 99. Redding climbs to around 110 with Chico topping out near 104. Fort Bragg stays much cooler with patchy dense fog, then mostly sunny skies and highs near 59. In the Bay Area, patchy fog gives way to sunshine in Santa Rosa near 78, while Napa reaches around 80 under sunny skies. Decreasing clouds continue in San Francisco with highs near 69, then San Jose reaches the mid-80s with sunshine. Across central California, Sacramento reaches the mid-90s, Stockton and Modesto climb near 98, while Fresno and Visalia top out around 101. Bakersfield stays hot near 103 with lows tonight holding near 70. And that's a snapshot of your Monday weather from Grange Co-op.
And there you go. There's a snapshot of our backyard this morning. A little bit of a shadow from the mountain, but still very clear. And if you see that haze out there, that means heat. That's hot. So be careful out there this morning. All right, good stuff all the way around.
You know, there are a lot of biblical principles that we have heard before, but when it comes from a person who's experienced it, it seems to have even more value. Johnny Erickson taught us, says that, you know, the trials that we have can make us look to God and have a real valuable time with Him.
Over the years, my quadriplegia has forced me to take one day at a time. This trial is so hard that this morning's grace is not enough by mid-morning. Grace runs out by lunchtime, and I have to go to God. Because of this wheelchair, I'm always going to God for help. And living like that makes each day precious. It's why Psalm 90 tells us to, quote, number our days so we might apply our heart to God's wisdom. And His wisdom is living the way I described, 1 minute at a time leaning on God. So how can you be a better steward of your days? Well, welcome the next trial as a friend that forces you to slow down and live, utterly dependent on God. So thank Him for His grace and ask Him for help. That's His wisdom for numbering your days.
And like you said, Steve, coming from her has a greater impact.
It does.
It does. All right, let's take a look at some of the top stories on this Monday morning, and quite the deal. And the big question is, have they reached a deal or not? Well, apparently everybody's talking about a deal has been made, not to be signed until this coming Friday. The president has been pretty boastful about it, saying we've made a deal. He's gone globally public with it. To let everybody know. But prior to the deal, there was a little standoff between Israel and Hamas, and the president again calls up the prime minister and uses some sharp words to tell him to knock it off. And but apparently they've made a deal. And we'll see. And the deal will result in the Straits of Hormuz being opened and the blockade being removed. But here's the question. Do we remove any of our troops from the area right away?
Good question. You know, that whole area where the base is on the other side of Iran has been discussed as being occupied by the United States, so we could have some people there. Straits of Hormuz.
The president did say to the ship owners, start your engines.
The race has begun.
Yeah, so this will open up the economic channels for Iran and probably put them back into business. But here's the real big question. How in the world, in the deal, did they secure no nukes? That is yet to be seen and is yet to be carried out. So by going very public with all of this, especially globally, I can't help but think that the president has put all the pressure on Iran to perform. And if they don't, then I guess we'll have to see what happens.
Yep.
So,
right.
In the meantime, the president is leaving today after the big party. We'll talk about that in a minute. He leaves today to go to the G7 in France, and he goes with a deal in his pocket. So we'll see how this all turns out. And speaking of the G7, they're already protesting over there.
Yeah, what would a G7 be without protesters? But
Well,
these aren't just people with signs.
It wouldn't be anything.
I know. They're lighting things on fire. So this has turned violent. You know, different definitions are brought about when they talk about demonstrators and what is peaceful and what isn't. I don't see how this can be considered peaceful. Smoke, throwing things, fires set and all of that. So that's what's greeting the G7 leaders as they're coming there. So it's kind of a normal G7 meeting, I guess. Security, as you know, would be high there. So the question is, we don't have a signed agreement yet. That'll happen on Friday. But the agreement has been said to be in place, and we should have it. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, was asked about this, and he kind of reiterated what the president said about what needs to be in place and what we can expect after the signing.
There's no trust here, and we're going to verify everything. Nuclear material will be destroyed and removed. The nuclear program will be dismantled. The straits will be open, no tolling. This is not the JCPOA was a path to a bomb. What this deal will be a wall to a bomb. And that was the objective from the beginning, very clear from the beginning. So as far as our military posture, we'll maintain what we need to. The blockade has been a devastating success for us and impact on the Iranians. So think of this chain of events militarily, just for a second. You had 45 days of overwhelming combat, which Iran could not manage, and their Navy's gone, Air Force gone, air defenses. Then it led to a blockade, which was impenetrable now for a couple of months. And then you had the underground Project Freedom, which allowed now 125 million barrels of oil to transit the straits, showing that we control the straits. And then we did 2 more days of bombing because they weren't really coming to the table. So it's been military pressure and strength from President Trump that's compelled Iran to this deal.
So
kind of reiterating what we expected, but the signing has yet to take place.
A wall to the bomb. We'll see what that is, huh?
Yeah,
A wall
absolutely.
to the bomb. Well, if you were watching any amount of television yesterday, you probably recognized there was a big party going on at the White House, and it was the president's 80th birthday, unlike anything we've ever seen ever. I don't think the White House has ever been transformed into something like this. They bring in this huge lighting dome from Poland. They put a wrestling ring in the middle. Before all of that, you got motorcycles jumping in the air. You got the
it's what you do for a birthday, right?
you got an incredible flyover from the Air Force. I mean, this was unreal. Thousands and thousands of people showed up, spilled over on the lawn, clear out by the Washington Monument. And it was a cage wrestling thing. By the way, it ended in 7 knockouts. Did you realize that?
Wow, I didn't know there were that many.
All 7 got knocked out. But the lighting grid, of course, he got a lot of complaints about this going up. But he builds this lighting grid out on the lawn of the White House. It's huge. And apparently this thing was brought in from Poland. And it was all constructed within about 2.5 weeks. Well, this officially launches the 250th celebration of the United States birthday all the way up through the 4th of July. There's events now from on out. And here's one, Steve. Apparently, he is going to do a Formula One race car through the city.
I hadn't heard that, but I
Or is
wouldn't
it
be
NASCAR?
surprised.
I can't remember.
It's probably Formula One. NASCAR just goes in circles.
Okay. Left turns, no less.
Yes.
So you wouldn't have that. But anyway.
No. Have to be right turn.
Yeah. But no, they're mapping out a Formula One racetrack somewhere through the city.
Wow.
So he's taken all of the big things up. The only thing missing now would be a baseball game. I mean, that's all American.
I guess. One thing I know you would like to have of this at your birthday is the flyover.
Oh, yeah.
I can see it right now.
Instead of flying over me, I want to be flying in it.
That makes sense.
But anyway, all that. But the birthday bash yesterday was unreal. People everywhere. And they were staging the fighters like inside the White House, if you can imagine that. I mean, the White House turned into a gym for a few months.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the Democrats can claim to have alpha males when the White House already has.
Well, the Democrats are also complaining about, the ballroom coming.
Oh, yeah.
Now, think about this. They complained about taking down the east side of the White House to put in or the west side, I guess, of the White House to put in the ballroom, okay?
Right.
And the counter to that is, well, then if you're complaining about that and you want it put back, we'll put all that back when you put all the monuments back that you tore down.
Ooh, yeah.
So there's one for you.
Interesting.
All right, those are some of the top stories this morning as we check in with our correspondents from the southern hemisphere of the United States this morning. He's alive and well and bushy-tailed. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you hear the cries that pour out from all the earth? Can your hands of glory reach down and heal the hurt of the broken?
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox, air is life. Make it perfect. In a time when our culture faces unprecedented challenges,
I want to talk about the role of a Christian even in a hostile culture.
Christian apologist and evangelist Alex McFarland addresses the hard-hitting questions about faith, morality, and culture.
People are hungry for truth, and we've got to rise to the challenge of our assignment as the church.
Know your faith better to be equipped to defend it in a world searching for answers.
But when you put the face of an earthly man on God, then you're never going to understand who God is.
God takes pleasure in you, and the very sight of you is joy and blessing.
Alex McFarland, inspiring believers through apologetics to boldly stand for truth in a critical time. Catch him Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday on the Dove TV, encouraging and informative. More at thedove.us.
Okay, welcome back, and delighted to have with us today Steve Johnson. And
it's good to see you again.
Yeah, people are wondering how you're doing, and they miss
I'm doing quite well.
They miss you being up here, but they're glad for you down there. And how hot has it gotten down there so far?
Ridiculous. It was officially, I'm not sure. My car temperature, though, indicated that it was like 104 already. But it was a very hot spring as well.
Okay.
So, we get used to it, I guess. And I notice in church all the snowbirds have left. They've headed to Maine and to Wisconsin. And, yeah, but the only thing is, like in Wisconsin, they're going to get a lot of humidity too.
Yeah.
I think Sue, when she would talk about that,
Now, Steve, you're from
Minnesota.
You're from Arizona, so what's the common reference to the heat?
It's a dry heat.
There you go.
That's it. But it is true. Yeah, I was just talking to some people from Florida, and they were saying they were visiting, and they go, yeah, it is hot over there. And I said, well, that's very humid, isn't it? And they go, yeah, it is. At least you have a dry heat.
Yeah,
They're
there
the
you
one
go.
who initiated that. I didn't say that, but they did. Yeah.
All right, good stuff. All right, let's take a look at a couple of backyard stories this morning. This is kind of an interesting one. I think we forget about all the fires that we've had in the past. They've been very destructive. And one of the things that we lost was the fish hatchery over in the Klamath area. And it's been around for decades, but it has now been rebuilt. 5 years after the 242 fire destroyed its main building there in the Klamath Fish Hatchery, now is officially reopened there in the Chiloquin area. It shows that the old wooden building was engulfed in flames when the fire broke out. They lost the hatchery, but they were able to save some of the residents around. Remarkably, not a lot of fish were lost during that fire, but finally, after all of this, 5 years later, they've completed the hatchery, and the main building now has reopened earlier this month and starts a new life there, and that's a big deal. So,
I'll bet the workers there are saying, well, it's too bad that there was a fire, but now we can build this the way we wanted it.
Yeah.
So maybe have a little cafe area there with cappuccino machines. I mean, who knows? You could do that, right? Why not? A fish hatchery with lattes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Johnson's back.
That's right.
He's promoting coffee.
I got to tell you, one of the first things that you took me to in Medford when I moved down there, 2005, was the dump.
Yeah.
Remember when they had?
Yeah, I took you to the dump. I wanted you to have the backyard experience. Yes.
Well, I went there and you said, what kind of coffee do you want? I said, coffee. At a dump. Well, do you want a cappuccino or a latte? It's like, what? And there it was, comes through the window.
Yeah.
And then they stopped doing it. And I thought, oh, that's ridiculous. They need to start that back up again.
Well, yeah, it was really quite a deal. You could get a latte, and anyway.
I know.
They have removed that since then. Yeah.
They didn't have biscottis. They could have done that.
Okay. One other little backyard news is, Mount Ashland Association is kind of like reigniting its chairlift replacement campaign. Both the Windsor and the aerial chairlifts are planned to be replaced with the state-of-the-art triple chairlifts coming up.
Whoa.
Now, we got to remember that our aerial chairlift is the oldest on the West Coast. I think it may be the oldest in the country. It's functional and works great, but it's time to replace it. The organization is hoping to raise $1.8 million before May of 27 to fund the remaining cost of the Windsor replacement. Thank you for Karen and Sid DeBoer. Their foundation has pledged $550,000 matching contributions.
Oh,
you got to
wow.
remember one thing about Mount Ashland: it's owned by the people. It's a community-owned ski resort, one of the most unique things in the West Coast. It's right here in our own backyard. But those two chairs need to be replaced. The drawings of the new ones are fantastic. So take that into consideration, that the foundation is now open doing matching funds, and hopefully during the season, the chairlifts will remain open this next season, 26-27, and then the following season, they hope to replace them. Now, that was hoping to be done this year, but it got kicked out of here, so that's kind of what's going on. All right, let's take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's going on with the satellite image, and we got severe, clear, and hot weather all up and down the Pacific Northwest from Mexico to Canada, pretty much, and it will be hot today, so be careful. Make sure you leave some cold water in the shade for your animals, and don't overdo it. There you go.
Hey, I got a question for you, Perry. What are your thoughts of solar energy as far as a major energy supplier?
Interesting question. I think it has merit. I'm not sold on the windmills, but on solar.
Right. This is just solar.
This is solar. I have to tell you, one of our tower sites is on a place called Powell Butte in Central Oregon. And on the east side of that are hundreds of acres of solar fields that that power is put right into the grid that comes out of the Columbia Gorge all the way to California.
All right.
I think it has a
about that?
place. I also think it's oversold. I think it's overestimated in some areas.
I thought the very same thing, but I'm changing my views on that. Because when you start looking at solar fields, and I think we've got some of those solar fields that we can show you right now, it has changed my way of thinking in a big way. Because for the first time, solar supplied more of the nation's electricity than coal. This is from the Associated Press. I had to read this through. It was 12.8% as opposed to coal, which is 12.2. So these solar fields, and you're right, it's not windmills, it's not water power, it's solar power, has changed how we're looking at this.
Right.
And it became the third largest source of electricity in the U.S. behind natural gas and nuclear. Nuclear is making its way up again, as it had used to so many years ago. So solar is becoming a huge deal at this point. And guess why this is so important? You mentioned the fields out there for us, in electricity at the towers. It's artificial intelligence locations. What am I talking about?
Data centers.
Data centers.
Right.
They're going to be needing those. And, a lot of those are out in the middle of nowhere, which is where they should be, because they don't need to be in a metro area necessarily. Same way with solar. So this is interesting, Perry. I think we're going to be seeing more of this demand needed, and the maintenance for that. I mean, talk about careers in the future. It might be solar panel maintenance. Who knows?
There's a couple things here we can follow up on. If you look at those panels closely, some of them rotate with the sun.
I know, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, so they're on these little. They have little motors underneath them where the actual panel or that whole thing of panels will rotate with the sun and keep it going. Secondly, they're trying to figure out now what can they do underneath these panels. Now, some of them are put on top of RV storages, like what you're seeing right there. Mm-hmm. Airports are perfect for solar panels because then you can park airplanes underneath those things.
Well, and at the Medford Airport, remember Burn Chase case did that, where for parking, it cools the cars and it keeps the solar power coming.
So I think this is the other thing is they've looked at putting them over canals. In other words, it would keep the water cool, and yet you can get really creative with some of this stuff. But to your point, it's clean energy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think where it got oversold was this. When they were trying to push everybody to have an electric car, they were also trying to get you to buy a solar panel for your house.
I know. And I've looked at that, and it's like, how long do you think I'm going to be living on planet Earth?
Yeah.
It would pay for itself if I had grandchildren, and they'd still have to be paying for it.
Well,
sorry, I'm sure that people in the solar industry are saying, well, it's not that bad.
No, but the ROI
but it takes a long time.
The ROI wasn't good. And by the time you put in a battery to hold it to charge your electric vehicle, you were in it more than the car. So that's got a ways to go yet. But now with EVs kind of going on the downhill side of things, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't think EVs will go away, but they certainly have cooled off,
Well, and it looks like solar power is on the rise again.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'll tell you one thing I'm not sold on yet. Solar airplanes. I don't think I want to be...
I'm with you.
I don't think I want to be in a solar airplane.
I remember one flight I had where there was lightning and it was dark. You couldn't see anything. I'm sorry, solar's not going to help you in that situation.
No, it's not. Okay. Well, Steve, we're going to do a latte break. Gives you time to go to your machine and check it out right there.
I think I need a fill-up.
Is that a Dove cup?
No, it's a Starbucks mug.
Oh.
I got it. Look, I'm a skinflint. I got it at Goodwill for $3.99. These are normally like $45 at Starbucks.
Same mug.
Same mug. Oh, it is. It's an official Starbucks mug. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right.
But it's got Steve's coffee in it, not Starbucks.
Good stuff. All right. 27 minutes past the hour. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Your sweet tooth just became a force for good. The Salvation Army's Taste Good, Do Good Challenge is on June 5th through the 30th. And local bakeries, restaurants, and shops are serving up exclusive treats you can only get during the challenge. Hit different spots, collect punches, and vote for the best bite in town. And every delicious stop helps support local kids and veterans right here in our community. Start your adventure at tastegooddogood.net.
He's got the whole world in his hands, and he knows the plans for us. Above and beyond we could ask or imagine. His grace is more than enough. It's in his hands. It's in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. Come on, Steve.
All right, welcome back. 1:30 on this Back at It Monday morning. Steve Johnson is joining us live this morning from the Dove headquarters there at the Southern Command.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Down there, and he's actually going to enjoy some rain today. But rain in
Maybe.
Tucson.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, rain in Tucson at 100 degrees. Is it really rain? What is it?
Yeah, it's a
mist.
It can be hail.
Really?
Yeah, it can be a problem. But hopefully not.
But you still
early for the monsoon.
So when is the monsoon season now?
That's a good question. It normally comes very end of June, July, that kind of thing. I don't know. It's El Nino,
La Nina,
and all of that. However that works this year. What year are we in? Are we in a La Nina year? I think we are.
Steve, we're only Monday morning. Let's slow this thing down a little bit.
It all sounds like places to go for tacos, as far as I'm concerned.
There we go. Yes, it's a drive-through taco place down on the corner here.
I like La Nina.
Yeah,
it's right next to El Nino.
Okay, well, let's check in with our El Sombreros over at CBN News and get caught up on the latest.
They will not have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that. They will not only not have, they will not purchase, develop in any way, shape, or form a nuclear weapon.
Trump has predicted a deal a number of times already, but says the recent bombing campaign is bringing the Iranians to the table. Israel was not a party to those negotiations. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed appreciation for the president's efforts to stop Iran's quest for a nuclear weapon and end its support of Iran's terrorist proxies in the region. Christian leaders from around the world came to Jerusalem this week to address critical issues concerning the church, Israel, and anti-Semitism. Chris Mitchell sat down with one of the main organizers to discuss why this meeting is so important.
Jürgen, great to be with you. We're here for the Jerusalem Summit, but it's not just a Jerusalem Summit. You're calling it an emergency Jerusalem Summit. Why?
Well, Chris, thank you so much. It's always good to be with you. The reason why we called it an emergency summit, because I believe that we are living in a time where Israel is under threat. The Jewish people around the world are under threat like never before. We see anti-Semitism rising after October 7 in numbers that are unprecedented. I think in the United States there is a 200% increase. If you look at anti-Semitism in colleges or universities, it grew 500%. If you go to Europe, almost every country in Europe, anti-Semitic acts and violence against the Jews up 200 to 500%. That's incredible, unheard of. And we feel it's a time where the church needs to wake up. The sad thing about all that is that many churches around the world, they don't have to say anything about that. They don't even know what to say when it comes to Israel or the Jewish people. And this emergency summit is here to help pastors around the world to get the tools to stand up on a Sunday morning on their pulpit to address anti-Semitism, to address questions like replacement theology, and to inform their churches in an intelligent way.
Would you compare what's happening now to what people say might have been in Germany in the 1930s? Is it similar?
Chris, that's an excellent question, because I was told for many years, oh, we are living in times comparable to what happened in Germany. And I always said, well, you know, this was really an extreme time. I wouldn't compare it. But today, absolutely. I think we are living in times. We see churches. We had a conference in Ireland the other day. It was closed down in 2 venues because pastors got too scared because of the threats they received. Pastors are telling us they don't dare to speak about Israel anymore from the pulpit because they are afraid of the ramifications. And we really see there is, number one, the threat level, very similar to how it was then, and also the response of the churches in many places, not everywhere, but in many places, is similar to how it was in Germany back then in the years leading to Hitler.
Was the church in Germany at that time, was it asleep?
It was, I think, asleep. It was unknowledgeable about God's purpose with the Jewish people, so they didn't have the tools in their hand to respond properly. And of course, it's also many of them, they just lacked courage because there was a consequence to pay or a price to pay standing up for the Jewish people.
Yeah. Jürgen Bühler, thanks for the summit and what you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's pretty interesting. Got that summit going on. Now we got the G7 going on over in France, and so we'll see what happens. I was wondering about the G7 thing. I wonder how Mr. Macron's handling all the unrest and the protesting.
Yeah, well, I suppose any country there is going to have difficulty with any kind of security. Let's face it, that's part of the main job, I think, of a lot of world leaders. You host something, you're going to have to make sure that everyone's safe.
Boy, it doesn't look too good.
Difficulty, more so than ever.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a, let's check out the weather with Alfred this morning and see what's going on there.
Here's a look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Across northern Oregon and southern Washington, increasing clouds later today with highs near 97 in Vancouver and 99 in Portland. Wilsonville turns hotter near 102, while McMinnville stays mostly sunny with highs close to 99. Through the Willamette Valley, hot conditions continue with Salem near 100. Mostly sunny skies hold from Albany through Corvallis with highs in the upper 90s, while Eugene reaches the mid-90s. Central Oregon starts with increasing clouds from Pineville through Bend and Sun River with afternoon highs ranging from the upper 80s to lower 90s. Over in Boise, Idaho, temperatures also heat up near 92. Along the Oregon coast, Cruz Bay sees increasing clouds with highest near 81. We'll see sunny skies in Port Orford near 77 and 67 in Crescent City, while Brookings turns sunny after morning fog with highs in the low 60s. Southern Oregon remains hot with highs around 102 in Grants Pass and near 103 in Medford. Ashland reaches the upper 90s, while sunny skies continue in Klamath Falls with highs in the low 90s. Northern California heats up with Wairika near 99. Redding climbs to around 110 with Chico topping out near 104. Fort Bragg stays much cooler with patchy dense fog, then mostly sunny skies and highs near 59. In the Bay Area, patchy fog gives way to sunshine in Santa Rosa near 78, while Napa reaches around 80 under sunny skies. Decreasing clouds continue in San Francisco with highs near 69, then San Jose reaches the mid-80s with sunshine. Across central California, Sacramento reaches the mid-90s, Stockton and Modesto climb near 98, while Fresno and Visalia top out around 101. Bakersfield stays hot near 103 with lows tonight holding near 70. And that's a snapshot of your Monday weather from Grange Co-op.
And a beautiful shot of our backyard this morning, and that haze you see out there is heat. Be careful. Be very, very careful. Leave some cold water in a shady spot for your animals today, okay? All right.
I think the problems we've had in Minnesota with alleged, it even seems to be more than alleged, types of money laundering and using of government funds in inappropriate ways has really reached the rest of the nation. Some people are saying, well, go to New York, it may be even worse than that. So that's obviously gotten the attention of the Trump administration. And Kash Patel, the FBI director, and GOP conference chair Lisa McClain have vowed to stop the tax dollar fraud. And they mentioned that on Fox Business. Representative Buddy Carter is a congressman from Georgia, and he reacted to some of those statements.
It's pretty simple. We follow the money. We follow all the money. And thanks to President Trump's brilliant vision to decimate fraud across the country that has been fleecing Americans and our kids and our senior citizens for far too long, law enforcement finally has the backing to deliver. This administration has made it abundantly clear there is no distance we won't travel to make sure we apprehend each and every one of these individuals.
We're continuing to pass legislation to make sure your tax dollars are well spent, and those who abuse your tax dollars are actually held accountable, because Republicans know how hard you work for those tax dollars. Every single Democrat has consistently voted against legislation to protect your dollars.
I look forward to voting for this bill that's going to be before the House. There are a number of things here, Maria, that we need to keep in mind. First of all, we need to do a better job in the federal government of putting in policies and procedures that can stop this before it gets this far. When you hear about 112 hospices at one address in LA, there's no reason that should have happened. The second time the duplicate address came up, it should have been kicked out. Secondly, we've got to have states be more responsible. They've got to have more accountability. We're sending them this money to disperse and to use, and they need to have more accountability. Thirdly, I tell you, the taxpayers are sick and tired of this. They want to see people go to jail. They want to see people in handcuffs. They have had enough of it.
Well, at least they're exposing it. Let's see if they follow through. The Michigan thing is one thing. California, they're saying there's billions there. New York, there's billions. When you start uncovering this, and then you figure out how they did it, when you see how they did it, I would say there's a couple things. The people who do it are certainly need to be brought to justice. But the system had a lot of holes in it where they could do it. And that needs to be cleaned up, you know.
Right, and I think that big government only makes that a possibility where you're going to see more of that graft. And I think the Republicans want to bring it down, because then you have fewer people responsible. You can identify who they are.
Yeah, it's. I think you're going to see more of this probably heat up a lot right after the 4th of July, all the way up through the midterm elections. So,
okay.
I think some of it's going to be politically motivated as to how they expose it. So we'll see. All right. In the meantime, this is a big subject. Parents are under a lot of pressure today, especially if you have teenagers, to conform to the world, so to speak. And the kids are under a lot of pressure today. How do you not do that? How do you encourage your child not to go the way of all of their friends? Adam Griffin with Crossway deals with this, and here's a little bit of his comments.
Yeah, it's very easy for parents to be tempted to conform to how other parents in this world are parenting, be that inside or outside the church, because the stream is strong, and so you are tempted to go with the current. The thing is, we are not called to just go whatever way the world wants or whatever way the popular way wants. We are supposed to follow Christ, and he describes following him as a narrow way. There's a wide path that leads to destruction. There's a lot of people on it. But if I follow that current, it may be easier right now. It may even spare my feelings or spare some relationships, but it leads where? It leads to destruction. So what I want for parents is to look around and say, hey, the fruit of the Spirit is not people-pleasing. It's not doing things the way exactly how my kid wants them to go or exactly how the world wants them to go. I've been given the fruit of self-control, which means sin is not my master. The fear of man is not my master. If anything, that is a trap. Proverbs would call it a snare. It may seem good, but it actually entraps you. So what do I have in the fruit of self-control? Is I am emancipated from a master that would seek to lead me towards destruction. And instead, I am increasingly given the strength to endure, to follow a God who calls me to walk in a different direction. I think of the family like Noah's family, where Noah's family was the last family on earth following God. Nobody else was following God, and still Noah was saying, hey, this is what we're going to do, and it's going to make us weird. We're going to build a big boat in the yard, and that's going to make us stick out. That's going to be strange. We're going to do it for 100 years, but we're going to keep going. And I think about that kind of family and think, can I do that? Could I say, even if every other family on earth was saying this is a bad idea, could I still follow God? And what would that be rooted in? That's the fruit of self-control that comes from saying, I walk by the Spirit, not in the wide path. I walk the narrow path. So even if I have to be different, that's okay, because I follow a God that calls me to be different, to be set apart, to be holy. That's what that means, to be consecrated. When we put up our kids and we try to dedicate them to the Lord, child dedication or baptism or whatever it is in your tradition, what are we saying? We're saying, Lord, make this kid different. Set them apart for you. And if our family is going to be set apart, and that's going to make us uncommon, but it's going to make us holy, praise God. I want that kind of self-control. So that's the fruit of the Spirit I want. Not self-control that just says, can I resist eating the donut? No, I want to have self-control that says, even if the rest of the world is going away, that is non-conforming to God, I'm not. I'm going to be renewed in my mind and pursue Him instead. That's what I want for me and my whole family.
Gosh, that's wonderful. You know, the question that comes out of that, do you know where the lines of the sand are in your own life? In other words, there's a line here, I'm not crossing it. So good stuff all the way around. All right, we'll take a quick break and vanilla latte break, maybe.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? Want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life? Now's the time to call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
When life feels heavy, your body feels it, your mind feels it. That is why I created Organic Elements Wellness Spa, a place where wellness is not a luxury, it's a way of life. Step into our wellness lounge with a Himalayan salt room, infrared sauna, steam room, and invigorating cold plunge. Restore your nervous system, detox your body, and clear your mind. Then experience customized massage, advanced skin therapies, and result-driven facials, all designed to help you look as good as you feel. There's nothing else like this in Southern Oregon. This is your space to heal, to reset, to glow. Call today to book your private wellness party for up to 15 guests or surprise someone special with a gift certificate.
Visit Organic Elements Wellness Spa on East Main Street in Medford. Book online at organicelementspa.com. Wellness is wholeness. Voted best of Southern Oregon. Jerry's Historical Archives. Moments to remember. Go back in time. Back in the day. TV shows of the past. Relive the past and learn something new. Open up Jerry's Historical Archives. Weekdays only on Mornings on the Dove.
All right, 13 minutes before the top of the hour. Well, the big question is, they got a deal. It's not signed.
Right.
And but the president is moving forward as if it's in place with the promise of removing the blockade there at the Straits of Hormuz and other things. Well, the other day I had Ali Savani on, and he's head of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. This guy's pretty informed. He's taught at 6 different universities. He's quite a guy. And I asked him, do you think we have actually reached a deal? And if so, is it a good one? Here's what he had to say.
Obviously, we as the Iranian opposition, which has been fighting this regime for 45 years, And of course, 93 million Iranians hope and wish that this conflict will be resolved peacefully through negotiations, and that at the end of the day, the world's most dangerous regime does not acquire the world's most dangerous weapon, that is nuclear weapons. But if past is prologue, the experience of the past 4 decades, and particularly since 2002, when the NCRI first revealed Iran's nuclear weapons program, that these mullahs will not give up this program through negotiations, because for them, nuclear weapons program, their missile program, and of course their intervention in the affairs of their neighbors through proxy groups or funding terrorist groups is a life insurance policy. And so they recognize that if they give up their nuclear weapons, then they won't have any lever to deal with the rest of the international community. And because they are terrified of the domestic situation, case in point, 5 major uprisings since 2017, including the latest one in January of this year, that they need to project power abroad to in many ways cajole Western governments into appeasing them and provide them with concessions, economic concessions, political concessions at the expense of the Iranian people. So while, of course, there's every hope that a deal will be reached, it remains to be seen. I think the ball is in the regime's court, and we'll see how they react.
Basically, at the end of that time I had with him, Steve, he was saying that what others have said, you're dealing with a death cult, and they will not give up. So where the president is saying they have a deal, and the deal includes complete elimination of their nuclear program, history and tradition shows that that's not the case. Yeah. So I don't know if we hope and pray that this is a workable deal. Yeah. But the Iranians are already saying that the Americans have given up on nuclear ambitions to denuke them. So they're saying, and we got a deal, and we're in charge of the deal. We're saying we got a deal, we're in charge of the deal. So,
yeah, don't count your chickens till they hatch, and it'll be Friday whether everyone signs. We'll see. They said Trump could be there to sign it in person. Otherwise, it could be done electronically. Okay.
Yeah, I think you almost need face-to-face handshakes.
I would think so.
Kind of like what Carter did at the White House, remember? When he had...
with Sadat? And,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd do it at the White House, you know. I think they ought to go to Paradise Lodge here on the Rogue River, you know, fly me.
Is that a neutral place? I don't know.
That's about as neutral as you get. You didn't have to fly in the food and the coffee and everything, you know.
Sure. It's remote enough so that you could keep terrorists at bay, perhaps. So,
okay. Coming up on Focus today, Joshua Phillips will be back with us. He's quite a guy. We'll be talking to him about all kinds of things. And Bill Galler will be in the house. So we got a hot hour coming up on Focus today. So stick around for that.
We get information like almost too much. I don't know if Perry, you're kind of a news nut, as I think I am as well. There comes a point, though, where you say, I have to process this stuff. How do I go about doing this? Because there's so much information. Some of it's right, some of it's wrong. Even if it's all correct, there's just so much that you try to process it. Well, Dr. Anthony George looks at what I would say is considered the stress of today, just too much stuff coming at you, and what we're being fed into it all. And he wants you to know there's another kind of news feed we should be tapping into.
So on the surface, it appeared Martha was just worried about getting dinner on the table, and she was resentful. She was doing it all by herself. But Jesus said, you're worried about a whole lot more than Mary not being in the kitchen with you. And so are we. We are a stressed out society. We have so much on our plates. And there are so many pressures that we face today that we would have never thought we would have to face. Family responsibilities, bills that need to be paid, decisions about housing, where to live, job demands, conflict in our personal relationships, health concerns, and even crises, all of these things. And I want to say this to you. We are the targets of an anxiety industry. I believe that the world system has been designed by the chief architect called Satan. And Satan uses everything in what we're living in today called the communications age. Now that we have these phones and we're glued to them, if you want to know what stress is, wonder where your phone is. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? Have you ever done that? Have you ever left it in a restaurant? You want to talk about 911 panic moment. Why? Because everything we have is on it. Everything we need is on it. Now we're going cashless and we're doing pay with it. And we're doing our apps and paying our bills and this, everything like this. But let me tell you what the enemy's doing. He's flooding our minds with an unbroken stream of fear-inducing, anxiety-causing information. And if you don't intentionally break away from it, it's going to eat at you like a cancer growing on the inside of you. It is an anxiety industry. I did this on Friday. I just started scrolling the headlines on my Apple News feed. When I got my new phone about 20 years ago, it hadn't been that long, but I am on an 11. I don't like changing. But when I got that Apple News app, you go in there and set your interest level about the stories you'd kind of get, and that's the kind of feed I get. And I just started looking every single headline. By the time I looked at about 8 or 10 headlines, I said, "Dear Father, the world's about to come to an end." I'm not kidding you. I was taking on the spirit, and let me tell you, you can even see the bias of the reporter in the headline. You already know the junk you're going to read before you click it open and read it. But what I got news for you is to say, there's a better feed than that. There's this feed right here, the news feed of the Word of God.
Well, he's getting pretty excited for a Baptist.
Certain things I can get excited.
He's really quite a guy. He's an amazing communicator. He's taken over from the late Charles Stanley. You know, he's quite a guy. But I think he makes a good point. Can you take a news fast?
It's hard. It is hard because the minute that you start looking at your Twitter file, I'll still call it Twitter even though it's called X, you get sucked into the different news thing and you go, well, that can't be right. I need to investigate this further. And you may be right about it, but now you've spent an hour and a half, you know?
Well, in selecting things that we cover, and I'll do this quickly, I look at 13 other sites just to make sure the story that we're going to go with is there too. You know, that I'm just not being pulled in by a phony headline. But he makes a point because sometimes the headline has nothing to do with the story, and you can get sucked into that trap.
Yeah, and a lot of times somebody else actually writes the headlines, not just the author.
All right, here's God's phone number, Jeremiah 33:3. Call unto me, and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which you do not know. That's God's phone number, Jeremiah 33:3. We'll be right back.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
Something has happened to our country here where we're glorifying assassinations and killings and killing babies, and we're glorifying taking God's creation and turning it upside down and throwing it on its head where a boy can become a girl and a girl become a boy. I mean, the whole thing. At what point are you going to wake up and realize that we are fighting something that's spiritual?
News with a little bit of common sense. Mornings on the Dove, weekdays 6 to 8 a.m.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site, in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare. Your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Piercing the darkness with the light of truth. Pathway to Victory with Dr. Robert Jeffress on the Dove TV. Encouraging and informative. Good morning. You're tuned to the Dove. Encouraging and informative. Helping Oregon, Northern California, Idaho, and Nevada start the day with news and encouragement. This is Mornings on the Dove.
Well, good morning to you, and welcome to Mornings on the Dove. This is the happening place, and no, I'm not alone. I'm never alone. But I also have a friend that will never go away.
Hey.
I am delighted to have back with us today Steve Johnson. He is the Dove correspondent from the Southern Hemisphere.
Maybe we all have friends like that. Ones that we like, but they won't go away.
They just won't go away. Anyway, good morning. We got Steve Johnson live with us this morning from his command center there in Tucson, Arizona, where the weather is hot and maybe rain, huh?
You know, there was a little bit early this morning, but you kind of have to look at it, and I think that it's gone away.
Does it evaporate before it hits the ground?
Yeah, a lot of time you smell it, but then it's evaporated. To recycle.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good to see you, friend. You doing all right?
Likewise. Yes, doing great. Thank you.
All right, good stuff. Well, do we have a deal? The big deal. According to the president, a deal has been reached, but no signatures on a piece of paper. They're saying it's going to be signed on Friday. And this is all after the world's biggest 80th birthday party at the White House last night. So I don't know. I guess we have to wait till Friday?
Apparently. Who knows what's going to happen at the G7, though? A lot of people are going to be reacting because that's where the president is off to next.
Okay, well, he heads for G7 today as well. Well, anyway, a lot going on in the news. We'll bring that all to you. Very hot weather here in our region. You'd think we were down in Steve's area. We'll bring that to you. Anything going on today special?
Well, you mean as far as history and that kind of thing?
What happened today?
Yeah, the Magna Carta, I got to pull it up. My computer turns off, but that's okay. Magna Carta was signed a long time ago, about 1215. I'm doing this all from memory here. Because I have a very, very slow Kindle. That's the situation. 1940, and by the way, the Magna Carta was huge because that was when the whole, it showed the king wasn't necessarily the absolute power. And so that was a very significant thing that started different constitutional aspects. And I saw one of the Magna Cartas. There are like 7 or 8 of them that have been signed. And they were spread out, to go to different parts of the globe. And so that was a very historic thing that happened on this date. I don't know. We probably don't read about that in school these days. Ooh, I hear thunder. We could be having some of that stuff you talked about. Okay, also, let's see, something else. George Washington, 1775, he was appointed the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army.
Yeah.
This was just one day after Congress established it. And 1940 was not a good year for the French on this date, because what ended up happening was the French resistance lost its clout against the Germans.
Yeah.
World War II had been well underway for a year at that point.
Well, you got the French have got problems today. We'll talk about that. But the rioting there for the G7, France is back in the news again today. So we'll see how Macron handles that. And Germany, kind of interesting. Germany said over the weekend that they may rise up and help support Ukraine, which is kind of interesting.
Wow, they're so quick on the draw.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, it's been years now. Finally, they're coming around. Okay.
That's right. By the way, you're in the backyard of Tombstone, right?
I am. It's 90 miles away.
Tombstone, okay.
Tombstone.
Yeah, that's.
Why do you ask that?
Well, I still think that movie is a great movie, you know.
You know, I need to watch it. It's been a long time.
Well,
they still do the reenactments at the OK Corral. There really is an OK Corral. Then they do reenactments there. My brother has been part of it. I haven't. I'd like to try it sometime, though. And they showed you a sequence of events. And this is funny. Just because people have guns doesn't mean they can shoot straight. Because they talk about, you know, it was just seconds that all the bullets went flying and how many of them missed. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know what that number is. I forgot. I'd been told sometime, but I didn't think you'd be talking about Tombstone.
Well, that's all right. You know, we went there years ago, you and I and the team. If you remember, Dave Kersey.
It's an interesting place, isn't it?
Yeah, Dave Kersey took us out there one day. We thought we were having a shootout ourselves.
A corporate shootout, huh?
Yeah, there you go. All right, good morning to you. Let's check out Alfred and find out what's happening in the weather for us today.
Here's a look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Across northern Oregon and southern Washington, increasing clouds later today with highs near 97 in Vancouver and 99 in Portland. Wilsonville turns hotter near 102, while McMinnville stays mostly sunny with highs close to 99. Through the Willamette Valley, hot conditions continue with Salem near 100. Mostly sunny skies hold from Albany through Corvallis with highs in the upper 90s, while Eugene reaches the mid-90s. Central Oregon starts with increasing clouds from Pineville through Bend and Sun River with afternoon highs ranging from the upper 80s to lower 90s. Over in Boise, Idaho, temperatures also heat up near 92. Along the Oregon coast, Cruz Bay sees increasing clouds with highest near 81. We'll see sunny skies in Port Orford near 77 and 67 in Crescent City, while Brookings turns sunny after morning fog with highs in the low 60s. Southern Oregon remains hot with highs around 102 in Grants Pass and near 103 in Medford. Ashland reaches the upper 90s, while sunny skies continue in Klamath Falls with highs in the low 90s. Northern California heats up with Wairika near 99. Redding climbs to around 110 with Chico topping out near 104. Fort Bragg stays much cooler with patchy dense fog, then mostly sunny skies and highs near 59. In the Bay Area, patchy fog gives way to sunshine in Santa Rosa near 78, while Napa reaches around 80 under sunny skies. Decreasing clouds continue in San Francisco with highs near 69, then San Jose reaches the mid-80s with sunshine. Across central California, Sacramento reaches the mid-90s, Stockton and Modesto climb near 98, while Fresno and Visalia top out around 101. Bakersfield stays hot near 103 with lows tonight holding near 70. And that's a snapshot of your Monday weather from Grange Co-op.
And there's a picture of our backyard, sunny and hazy a little bit. That's heat haze. We're already pushing 70 degrees out there, so it's going to be a warm one. So be careful. Make sure you leave some cold water in a shady spot for your animals today. Okay.
That's a good thing. Hey, it's Monday. Maybe it's time to take a different view of life. I don't know what your weekend was like. Maybe it was great. Maybe it needed some improvement. Well, Johnny Erickson Tada says, you know what? This is the day to elevate yourself and pursue God.
An old Puritan once said that the worth and excellency of your soul is measured by what your soul loves. So the truth about you, that is who you really are at the most basic level, is revealed by the things that you deeply desire. If you desire dull, sensual things, swiping, tapping, scrolling TikTok, or binging Netflix, then your soul is going to reflect that dullness. But if you delight in godly things, then your character will be courageous and noble and pure. Look, God has created in you a need for pleasure. And since He created that need, it makes sense that He is the fulfillment of that need. So when He says, love the Lord with all your heart, He's directing your pleasure-seeking soul where it'll be happiest. So, elevate yourself today and pursue God.
Yeah, wow. Coming from Johnny, that's quite a deal, to say the least. All right, let's take a look at some of the top stories on this Monday morning at about 8 minutes past the hour. Of course, do we have a deal? Well, according to the president, we have a deal, but it was preceded with another stern warning against Israel, retaliating against Lebanon and the Hezbollah over there, firing missiles into Israel. Israel will respond, and the president gets on the phone with the prime minister and chews them out and say, knock it off, which is kind of an interesting twist. By the way, the final deal was made, supposedly was made. Now, he says we have a deal. It's not signed. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was not part of the final deal. So in the meantime, the president has said early this morning the deal has been agreed upon, and it will be signed on Friday as the president, as we speak, is leaving to go to the G7 summit in France. So I don't know what to say about all this other than, well, I guess we have to wait and see. Can these people be trusted? And is the deal the deal?
And one of the big questions is, should, let's say, Hamas shoot missiles at Israel? They obviously would retaliate. How does that work with this kind of a peace deal? All these things still need to be ironed out. There are a lot of details there.
Well, to that point, as you know, Hezbollah is pretty much, and Hamas and Houthis, they're all proxies of Iran, and Iran can use these guys to blow the deal by lobbing missiles into Israel. Now, is Israel supposed to sit there and watch their people be killed and do nothing?
Right. Yeah, that's one of the big questions for sure.
Yeah, and so the president has now maybe boxed Iran in by saying to the world, and the whole world knows now, that a deal has been reached, but it's not signed, as the president goes to G7. So if Iran blows the deal by saying to Hezbollah or to Hamas or to the Houthis, go ahead and fire some missiles, they're blowing their own deal. But I don't think, in good conscience, quite frankly, and in complete responsibility of being the head of a government or of a state, can Netanyahu sit there and take missiles and not respond?
Right, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. In the meantime, the G7 is on its way, and it's being met with all kinds of disruption. They're already having all kinds of rioting there in the streets prior to the summit. As you said earlier, Steve, what's a G7 without a little riot, I guess, huh?
I guess, but I think of protesters and people marching and placards. We're talking about stuff where smoke bombs are being thrown and things are put on fire and all the rest. So there is some violence certainly that is going on there, as the security is so stiff at a place like this. So here we have, as you mentioned, an agreement that has not been signed yet. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth was asked over the weekend on Face the Nation about the specifics of an agreement, and he said any of the aspects of this agreement that will be signed will have to have some specific qualifiers.
There's no trust here, and we're going to verify everything. Nuclear material will be destroyed and removed. The nuclear program will be dismantled. The straits will be open, no tolling. This is not the JCPOA was a path to a bomb. What this deal will be a wall to a bomb. And that was the objective from the beginning, very clear from the beginning. So as far as our military posture, we'll maintain what we need to. The blockade has been a devastating success for us and impact on the Iranians. So think of this chain of events militarily, just for a second. You had 45 days of overwhelming combat, which Iran could not manage. And their Navy's gone, Air Force gone, air defenses. Then it led to a blockade, which was impenetrable now for a couple of months. And then you had the underground Project Freedom, which allowed now 125 million barrels of oil to transit the straits, showing that we control the straits. And then we did 2 more days of bombing because they weren't really coming to the table. So it's been military pressure and strength from President Trump that's compelled Iran to this deal.
Well, you know, let's hope and pray this deal is real and that it does come about and that they can de-nuke this country. That's yet to be seen. But I think what the Secretary pointed out there, the sequence of events from bombings to the blockade to economic sanctions and all that has worked, and it's brought them to the table.
Yeah.
The problem is that the Revolutionary Guard is telling the Iranian people that we made the deal and the United States folded.
I guess as long as it gets done. Yeah.
I don't know what you do with that. Well, listen, only the president, and this one in particular, can throw a birthday party for himself that is enormous, and that's what happened. His 80th birthday party included a huge ring outside the White House, and actually the lighting grid for this wrestling cage came from Poland. The military was there playing all kinds of music. It was very patriotic in so many ways, and yet it was very entertaining. The flyover was spectacular. There it is. Absolutely spectacular. And this all took place on the White House lawn and spilled over, clear over to the Washington Monument. People out there, thousands of people attended. And I didn't know that cage wrestling was this popular, and that the president goes to these things.
He does. He seems to like it.
Yeah, and 7 knockouts, all 7.
Well, that's something to have on your resume there.
Yeah.
I cage fought at the White House and I won.
Yeah, I got knocked out at the White House. There you go. But anyway, it was very patriotic in many ways. Everything about this event was just over the top, huge, absolutely huge. And this kind of launches the 250th celebration of things. And the only thing I can say is that this was really big. I don't know if this will ever be done again. And now the president, and I don't know how they're working this out, but apparently there's going to be a Formula One race in and through the streets of Washington, D.C. So events like this leading right up to, and he's trying to get the walkway between the Lincoln Memorial and the Potomac River, trying to get that all cleaned up. He's already drained the reflecting pond out in front of the Lincoln Memorial and cleaned that all up and refilled it up. I mean, he's really doing a lot of things that make the city pretty presentable.
And yet he was criticized for that, too, for cleaning up the reflecting pond.
In the meantime, he's on Air Force One, heading over to the G7 in France, and we'll see what happens over there. So those are the top stories for you on this Monday morning, and Steve Johnson's with us from the Southern Command. We'll be right back.
Your love, the only thing that matters is your love, your love. That's all I have to give is your love.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
Do events in the world leave you confused and scratching your head? A world where up is down and down is up.
I'm Perry Atkinson. Mornings on the Dove knows how you feel. We're here to offer God's hope and encouragement and to help you to sort it all out.
And I'm Jerry Bilden. Mornings on the Dove alerts you to issues and events the mainstream media would rather you not know or know the truth.
A lot in the news today, some movement around in the Middle East, common sense discussions on today's headlines, and rational perspective on what's really going on.
That will leave you better informed and encouraged by the gospel.
In this upside-down world, there's one place you can trust to get it straight.
Check into Mornings on the Dove each day to find out what's really going on and to be encouraged.
Mornings on the Dove, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. on the Dove TV and radio. Streaming online at thedove.us, Roku, and Apple TV. The Dove, encouraging and informative.
Just a little bit of an update. Jerry went through his surgery. He's doing very well.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, he's he broke his leg over a year ago skiing. And things didn't go well with that, and then he ended up breaking another bone in there. It just went downhill for him, unfortunately, and he had to take everything out. So he's temporarily patched up again. If I was to explain it, you wouldn't believe it. So he's kind of in a series now where he's kind of mending from the surgery before the big surgery. So we'll keep.
I'll be praying for him in this recovery, and then when he has the next surgery coming up.
So he's got a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Well, some backyard news. First of all, I don't know if people really remember this, but it is a big deal. What they call the 242 fire destroyed the Klamath fish hatchery there in the Chillicoin area quite a few years ago, and 5 years later they finally got it rebuilt. This hatchery's been around a long time, and some of the earlier shows that the actual hatchery itself was in flames, when the only thing that the firefighters could do is protect some of the residences around there. And most of the fish did survive that fire. Well, here we are 5 years later, and they have completely rebuilt it, and it's back up and functioning. And this is a big deal right there. So we're glad for that, and hopefully they can get that all managed much better. And then the other backyard news is, we were hoping this would be the year, but apparently got kicked out a year. And that is replacing the Windsor and the aerial chairlifts at Mount Ashland. Now, Mount Ashland is one of those crown jewels of Southern Oregon, and this is one of the most unique operations really anywhere, because this is owned by the citizens. And they've done a great job. Well, I was hoping this year they would address the chairs. These two chairs have to be replaced. They're old. In fact, the aerial chair, I believe, is the oldest chair on the West Coast, if not in the country. And it was used when we got it. But it's very functional, safe, and they're hoping they will get one more season out of it. But they have started their fundraising to raise $1.8 million to replace these chairs. And thank you for Sid and Karen DeBoer. They have, through their foundation, pledged a $550,000 matching grant. And for those who live in and around Southern Oregon, Northern California, they know the prize of this hill. It is just a remarkable facility right here in our own backyard. So they are hoping that both chairlifts will be up and open for the 27-28 season. But what's still there, the two, Windsor and the aerial, will be open and safe for the 26-27 winter season. And let's hope we get some snow. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Let's take a look at Wall Street for this Monday. A lot going on. Let's see how it's faring with all this news. Thank you, Preston, over at SmartLawn, with helping us this morning. The Dow has shot up 587 points. Look at that number, 51,794. The NAS is up 639 points, and the S&P is up 115 points. Everybody likes the idea that we got a deal. Wow, those are big numbers. Gold shot up to $43.79. Silver's back up to $71. And crude oil, look at this, finally below $80. $79.74 a barrel. Those are amazing numbers for a Monday morning. Wow.
That is amazing. I've never seen the S&P 500 up higher than the Dow. That's pretty unusual.
Yeah, it's a big day on Wall Street.
Yeah. Well, solar is one of those things that we've looked at. You've had people come to your door and say, you know what, I'd like to sell you a solar system. and then you try to figure out, well, how long will it take to pay off before I actually make any money off this? And it might be well after you've died. That seems to be the way it is.
So you have an opinion on that, Steve?
Well, I've had several people do that, and I've asked that question, and they'll say, well, it's like 20 years or whatever. Well, depending on how old you are, you have to look at this and evaluate it. And anyway, it's one of those things where it's like, we wish it would be extremely successful, but is it really? There's a new report out from the Associated Press that shows, guess what? We are finding that solar has now overtaken coal in the amount of energy that is placed back into the grid. It's like 0.8%, but it still is the first time, and this happened in May. And now it is just behind nuclear and oil as far as kind of the type of fuel that we would need to have to be able to generate and use as some basis. Nuclear is still way up there. I've been surprised at that. Ever since 3 Mile Island, it's been kind of a hush type of a thing. But I thought, Perry, you would find this interesting because you were even talking about the nuclear panels that can move and follow the sun, which is a whole nother level of technology that's there. But one of the big reasons for all of this is that the data centers are going to be needing a lot of power. They need a lot of water, but they need a lot of power. And what better than if you have a data center out in the middle of nowhere? What are you going to have? Not probably coal, a coal hole, so to speak, but you'll have solar. So they're looking at this for the future and saying this is probably something that is going to only improve as time goes on. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, it's a big story. I mean, if you go to Eastern Oregon, like I told you earlier, we have a tower on top of Powell Butte, and if you go to the east side of that, there are hundreds of acres of solar panels out there, and the power that they're getting off those goes right into the grid, which is the main grid line that comes out of the Columbia Gorge that goes all the way to California. I think solar panels have their place. I think in the smaller settings, you got to really weigh it as to whether or not, if you're going to put it on your house, like you said, the ROI there could be way out there, But at this level, and you may mention that the data centers now, which is all, you're going to see these data centers all over the country. This is called the support base, the infrastructure for AI. And they do require a lot of power and a lot of water, so to keep everything cool. So we'll see. But, I think these certainly outperform those windmills.
Well, and, changing subject slightly, talking about data centers, did you hear? I heard that Elon wants to put data centers out in space because they're cool. It's cold out in space. One of the problems, though, is radiation can really mess up electronic devices. So there are a few things to work through, but I thought that's pretty interesting. A data center up in, how would you like to be the engineer that has to go up there to do maintenance? I got to get on Falcon 1 or something, Falcon 12 to head out there and
let me ask you a little bit of it's a fun question. Do you think that Elon Musk, he launched X to public? What was it? He went public with X, so SpaceX.
Yes, okay. Right, SpaceX. For you and I can buy it as of Friday.
Okay, and overnight he became the first trillionaire in the
I know,
world.
Isn't that amazing? I tried to figure that out.
Well, you have to. Gosh, that's a lot of zeros. Okay.
It's a lot of 999 billion and one more.
And one more.
That's crazy.
So anyway, he became a trillionaire, the first one in the world overnight. Okay, yeah. So you got all this stuff going on with all of this. I think we need to remember one thing about the cloud.
Yeah.
Data centers and AI. At the end of the day, it's somebody's computer. Don't forget that.
And it's your information somewhere else. I know. What do you do about it, though? There's the question.
What do you do about it? You got to know what you're doing or you get into trouble. But the cloud and AI and data centers and all, at the end of the day, it's somebody's computer. Somebody has programmed that. And as great as it is in so many ways, and it works terrific. I've used AI a lot lately in various ways, but I also, I know what I want my outcome to be. I don't go into this thing blindly, So,
all right.
Anyway, well, Steve,
hopefully that makes you feel better.
Yeah, you need a solar panel on your house down there. Of course, you guys.
For my data center.
Yeah. By the way, I wonder if it's too hot for solar panels down where you are.
Oh, no. They were pushing for it in the 70s like crazy.
Oh, really?
There are solar panels all over the place. Yeah.
Really?
Okay. The one concern, though, is this. You put a solar panel on your roof. If you have shingles, you better check to see what kind of shape your shingles are in, because when you have to take them and re-shingle your house, guess what you have to do to all those solar panels?
You got to take them off.
You got to take them off. Put them back on.
Okay.
And there's added cost to all of this stuff.
All right, good stuff. All right, you know what? Maybe you need a solar espresso machine.
Oh, that would be, yeah, it wouldn't take that much energy, would it, to do that?
No.
A solar panel for all of my espresso machines. You made it sound like it's singular.
That would be one big panel. All right.
You got to have backups.
We'll be right back.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
Your sweet tooth just became a force for good. The Salvation Army's Taste Good, Do Good Challenge is on June 5th through the 30th. And local bakeries, restaurants, and shops are serving up exclusive treats you can only get during the challenge. Hit different spots, collect punches, and vote for the best bite in town. And every delicious stop helps support local kids and veterans right here in our community. Start your adventure at tastegooddogood.net.
Have you seen Mornings on the Dove?
Welcome to Mornings on the Dove. Everybody take a big breath. North Korea and South Korea were trying to warm relations. Well, it ended up a little too hot, I guess.
This guy is over the top.
They said it's one of the most advanced fighter aircraft in the world.
Jesus willed that his own executioners keep on living. And that's astounding. What mercy.
Wake up to information. Mornings on the Dove, weekdays.
If you don't drive it, donate it. By supporting us, you'll get even more mileage out of it.
Thank you from the Dove TV.
Back and happy Monday to you. 1:30. Steve Johnson with us from the headquarters there in Tucson, Arizona. A lot going on. Well, apparently a deal has been reached. It is not signed. More and more details that were coming out on the deal. We're hearing bits and pieces of it. We just heard from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. He kind of indicated that it was going to be a wall from getting the bomb. The question is, has the Revolutionary Guard and the Supreme Leader over there, by the way, I guess his father's funeral is going to be held in the next day or two. But the point being is, can they really be trusted? Are they really going to give up their entire nuclear program? We'll see.
Yeah.
So let's
we have to wait and see.
Let's check in with our friends at CBN News and find out.
It is Monday, the 15th of June. We're going to begin this half hour with news of the deal to end the war with Iran. Although the final text of the agreement has not been released, it calls for the ceasefire to be extended 60 days. End of fighting on all fronts, including Lebanon. Negotiations on Iran's enriched uranium and a verification mechanism. The end of the U.S. naval blockade and the Strait of Hormuz being President Donald Trump announced the deal on Truth Social by posting, "Ships of the world, start your engines, let the oil flow." The U.S. and Iran are supposed to sign the agreement in Switzerland Friday, but some are already asking if it's worthwhile because of disagreement within Iran's leadership. A former Israeli intelligence officer told ABC News the Iranians can't be trusted, and he doubts Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will support the deal.
Because it gives Iran a lifeline of financial aid, financial support, where what Iran really needs is more pressure.
UN Ambassador Mike Walls says the division within the Iranian leadership made the deal hard to reach, and Vice President J.D. Vance says the deal will end the war and ensure Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. But many in Israel do not like the deal, the Israeli government saying it would hold on to land seized in Lebanon as it battles Hezbollah. Israel's security minister Itamar Ben-Gvir posted on X, "We are not partners to this agreement that does not ensure our security, and it does not bind us in any way." Christian leaders from around the world gathered in Jerusalem last week for an emergency summit to address critical topics for the church at such a time as this. One of the themes is the battle of ideas shaping the future of the West. CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell sat down with one of the speakers to find out what he sees as competing worldviews and why Christians need to better understand Islam. Take a look.
Thanks, Ephraim. I'm here with Dr. A.J. Nolte from Regent University's Israel Institute. We're here in Jerusalem for the Jerusalem Emergency Summit. Dr. Nolte, you're going to be speaking. What message are you bringing here?
So they asked me to speak about the differences between the God of the Bible and Allah, as understood in Islam. And so I'll be talking about what we as Jews and Christians have in common in terms of our idea of who God is, our ideas about humanity, and how that then feeds into society. And some ways that Islam has some significant, they don't always seem huge, but they are quite significant differences that leads to some different outcomes. And just sort of hoping to get people to really think through how we relate to Islam in the 21st century and what that looks like for Jews and Christians alike.
Yeah, what does that look like for Jews and Christians?
So one of the analogies that I often use when I think about this is the United States and China. And the United States and China are what I would call peer competitors. That is to say, oftentimes we're in a competitive and adversarial relationship. There are some areas where we collaborate, but even when there's collaboration, we're always still looking at what are our interests here and how do we protect those interests. And I think peer competitor is a decent model for what we have with Islam, because as I look around the landscape that we have in the world today, I see really a lot of challenges that are raised for people by modernity. People are isolated, people are feeling alienated, people are feeling alone, and they're looking for transcendent answers. And there's really only two worldviews that offer compelling answers to modernity. One of those is the biblical worldview, and the other is the worldview of Islam. Obviously, I think ours is right, but we need to understand why 1.6 billion people find Islam's answer to modernity compelling, and how do we combat? Obviously, we're competing with them in that sense of we think our answer is correct and better for society, but then also understanding that and realizing what are areas that will lead to competition and how do we sort of address that in the decades to come.
Do you see sort of a danger sign with sometimes of this marriage, they call it a red-green alliance, marriage of progressivism and also radical Islam?
Absolutely, and I think it's a very dangerous marriage, particularly for the West. Progressives have become so antithetical to a biblical worldview and so convinced that Islam is sort of an oppressed religion and Judaism and Christianity are oppressor religions, that they've just lock, stock, and barrel allied themselves with the Islamists. And that's the essence of the Red-Green Alliance, is this idea that Islam is the religion of the oppressed. And it's nonsense historically, and I would say even today it's nonsense. But it leads to an alliance that is seen on campuses, that is seen increasingly in elements of politics. We could look at the recent congressional primary in New Jersey, where you actually had a far-left Democrat who was also previously had, no kidding, al-Qaeda ties, who was elected as the Democratic nominee in the recent New Jersey primary. And so we're seeing this Red-Green Alliance really take off in the West, and it is a serious source of concern, and it's something that we need to be watching very carefully.
Boy, I'd like to be part of that seminar. I'd like to sit there and hear what he has to say. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. And you know, there's another element on the table: 60-day ceasefire. That tells me that they put in place conditions if it doesn't hold. You know.
Wow.
So a 60-day
very tenuous in the Middle East.
And they named all the proxies, so no fighting in these areas over 60 days. So what happens if they violate them? You know, it's really put Israel in a box. Boy, Israel's in a tough spot here. You know, if they get shot at again, are they supposed to sit there and fold their hands? You know?
You know that's not going to happen.
No. All right. Well, it is hot. I just stuck my nose outside. I think I'm in your backyard, Steve.
Well, we're getting rain right now. I didn't think we were going to be getting it. We are.
We're getting it. Okay.
We haven't had it for months.
Let's check in with Alfred and get all the details.
Here's a look at today's weather from Grange Co-op. Across northern Oregon and southern Washington, increasing clouds later today with highs near 97 in Vancouver and 99 in Portland. Wilsonville turns hotter near 102, while McMinnville stays mostly sunny with highs close to 99. Through the Willamette Valley, hot conditions continue with Salem near 100. Mostly sunny skies hold from Albany through Corvallis with highs in the upper 90s, while Eugene reaches the mid-90s. Central Oregon starts with increasing clouds from Pineville through Bend and Sun River with afternoon highs ranging from the upper 80s to lower 90s. Over in Boise, Idaho, temperatures also heat up near 92. Along the Oregon coast, Cruz Bay sees increasing clouds with highs near 81. We'll see sunny skies in Port Orford near 77 and 67 in Crescent City, while Brookings turns sunny after morning fog with highs in the low 60s. Southern Oregon remains hot with highs around 102 in Grants Pass and near 103 in Medford. Ashland reaches the upper 90s, while sunny skies continue in Klamath Falls with highs in the low 90s. Northern California heats up with Wairika near 99. Redding climbs to around 110 with Chico topping out near 104. Fort Bragg stays much cooler with patchy dense fog, then mostly sunny skies and highs near 59. In the Bay Area, patchy fog gives way to sunshine in Santa Rosa near 78, while Napa reaches around 80 under sunny skies. Decreasing clouds continue in San Francisco with highs near 69, then San Jose reaches the mid-80s with sunshine. Across central California, Sacramento reaches the mid-90s, Stockton and Modesto climb near 98, while Fresno and Visalia top out around 101. Bakersfield stays hot near 103 with lows tonight holding near 70. And that's a snapshot of your Monday weather from Grange Co-op.
And there you go. There's a picture of our backyard, hot and dry and a little hazy, which is heat, so be careful out there.
Head to the coast. That's what I say.
There you go.
To the coast. It's a good time to do that. Well, we've seen a lot of what we would call complete misuse of public funds. That's an official way of saying there's a lot of bad stuff going on in government. You know, Minnesota is the first place, but Perry, you even mentioned how California is expected to be even worse, where all sorts of funding for poor people have been misused. And Representative Buddy Carter, he is a congressman from Georgia. He commented on some of the statements. Maybe you haven't heard them. So here they are from FBI Director Kash Patel and Republican Conference Chair Lisa McClain on how they want to stop tax dollar fraud.
It's pretty simple. We follow the money. We follow all the money. And thanks to President Trump's brilliant vision to decimate fraud across the country that has been fleecing Americans and our kids and our senior citizens for far too long, law enforcement finally has the backing to deliver. This administration has made it abundantly clear there is no distance we won't travel to make sure we apprehend each and every one of these individuals.
We're continuing to pass legislation to make sure your tax dollars are well spent, and those who abuse your tax dollars are actually held accountable, because Republicans know how hard you work for those tax dollars. Every single Democrat has consistently voted against legislation to protect your dollars.
I look forward to voting for this bill that's going to be before the House. There are a number of things here, Maria, that we need to keep in mind. First of all, we need to do a better job in the federal government of putting in policies and procedures that can stop this before it gets this far. When you hear about 112 hospices at one address in LA, There's no reason that should have happened. The second time the duplicate address came up, it should have been kicked out. Secondly, we've got to have states be more responsible. They've got to have more accountability. We're sending them this money to disperse and to use, and they need to have more accountability. Thirdly, I tell you, the taxpayers are sick and tired of this. They want to see people go to jail. They want to see people in handcuffs. They have had enough of it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad out there. So at least they're starting to crack down on it. We'll see how far they get. But when you look at the dollars and the amounts, you got to shake your head and say, okay, who's complicit to all of this stuff? It's pretty amazing.
And how much don't we know that has gone on in misuse of funds for years?
For years, yeah. Well, raising kids these days are always an interesting thing, and there's a lot of pressure for parents to give in to the cultural pressure that their kids are living under. Well, Andy Griffin from Crossway says, hold on, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, it's very easy for parents to be tempted to conform to how other parents in this world are parenting, be that inside or outside the church, because the stream is strong, and so you are tempted to go with the current. The thing is, we are not called to just go whatever way the world wants or whatever way the popular way wants. We are supposed to follow Christ, and he describes following him as a narrow way. There's a wide path that leads to destruction, and there's a lot of people on it. But if I follow that current, it may be easier right now. It may even spare my feelings or spare some relationships, but it leads where? It leads to destruction. So what I want for parents is to look around and say, hey, the fruit of the Spirit is not people-pleasing. It's not doing things the way exactly how my kid wants them to go or exactly how the world wants them to go. I've been given the fruit of self-control, which means sin is not my master. The fear of man is not my master. If anything, that is a trap. Proverbs would call it a snare. It may seem good, but it actually entraps you. So what do I have in the fruit of self-control? Is I am emancipated from a master that would seek to lead me towards destruction. And instead, I am increasingly given the strength to endure, to follow a God who calls me to walk in a different direction. I think of the family like Noah's family, where Noah's family was the last family on earth following God. Nobody else was following God, and still Noah was saying, hey, this is what we're going to do, and it's going to make us weird. We're going to build a big boat in the yard, and that's going to make us stick out. That's going to be strange. We're going to do it for 100 years, but we're going to keep going. And I think about that kind of family and think, can I do that? Could I say, even if every other family on earth was saying this is a bad idea, could I still follow God? And what would that be rooted in? That's the fruit of self-control that comes from saying, I walk by the Spirit, not in the wide path. I walk the narrow path. So even if I have to be different, that's okay, because I follow a God that calls me to be different, to be set apart, to be holy. That's what that means, to be consecrated. When we put up our kids and we try to dedicate them to the Lord, child dedication or baptism or whatever it is in your tradition, what are we saying? We're saying, Lord, make this kid different. Set them apart for you. And if our family is going to be set apart, and that's going to make us uncommon, but it's going to make us holy, praise God. I want that kind of self-control. So that's the fruit of the Spirit I want. Not self-control that just says, can I resist eating the donut? No, I want to have self-control that says, even if the rest of the world is going away, that is non-conforming to God, I'm not. I'm going to be renewed in my mind and pursue Him instead. That's what I want for me and my whole family.
Do you ever think about the cultural ridicule that Noah and his family got for 100 years?
Yeah.
Building a boat in the backyard.
You got to stay focused. Well, they didn't even know what it was. You know, what's a boat?
Yeah. There you go.
Why do you need all that tar?
Oh, boy. Okay. They didn't have Corvettes in those days, Steve, you know.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
wow.
boy.
They didn't even have much in the way of roads, did they?
There we go. No.
Certainly not cappuccino machines.
Oh. All right. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
At Kelly's Automotive Service, we understand that the automotive industry has a certain reputation, and we try every day to prove that we're different. We believe working from our purpose, which is to bless our staff, clients, and community, is a good start. While getting your car serviced or repaired isn't something that you look forward to, we hope that you leave us feeling heard and taken care of. Kelly's Automotive Service in Grants Pass and Medford, where we service your vehicle, but take care of you. KellysAutomotive.com.
Buying or selling a home can be stressful. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make in your lifetime. That's why it's important to work with someone you trust, someone who has the right experience and knowledge of the market.
Hi, we're Patrick and Paulina Leiser with Leiser Real Estate Group.
And whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, our mission is to take the stress out of the transaction and make it as seamless and rewarding as possible.
Contact us today. We look forward to working with you.
Jerry's Historical Archives. U.S. History. Great moments in time. Record breakers. Our music through the years. Relive the past and learn something new. Open up Jerry's Historical Archives. Weekdays only on Mornings on the Dove.
All right, 12 minutes before the hour. Well, apparently we have a deal with Iran. And in the meantime, a couple of days ago, I had Ali Salvavi on. He is the National Council of Resistance of Iran. I had him as a guest on Focus Today. He lectures and has taught at various universities. He's quite the guy. And I said, if we have a deal and if it's signed, will they adhere to it? Here's what he thinks.
If they sign the memorandum of understanding, in my view, it's for them a sign that they are weak and they must give up something. So the mere signing of the memorandum of understanding, from our point of view, the point of view of the Iranian resistance, is a positive step. As to what follows, naturally, nobody knows, because they must not, under any circumstances, be given sanctions relief, and there must be no return to the business as usual approach that the Europeans conducted when they were negotiating with the regime in Tehran. Now, if the mullahs are not serious about negotiations, I'm sure that the Trump administration will recognize that very quickly, and so as to what action they will take to deal with this procrastination of the regime, we'll have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, if you were to ask me what is the right course of action to take, look, negotiations with this regime have gotten nowhere. The 12-day war in 2025 and the 40-day war in 2026 proved that change will not come from the air and not through foreign intervention. You need the ground element, which is the Iranian people and the organized opposition, and the fusion of the network of the organized opposition with the Iranian people has the power and the capacity to bring down this regime. And that's precisely the message that 100,000 people will be conveying a week from tomorrow here in Paris, where I am, joined by more than 100 officials, distinguished former world leaders, ministers, a very stellar group of political people who will come to Paris, and they will deliver a message. They will offer a roadmap, a way out of the current crisis, that, look, if you want to deal with this issue, look to the only element, only factor that has the power to bring about real change, fundamental change, which is the Iranian people and the organized opposition.
All right, so his take is that the citizens of Iran need to be given another chance to take over. They've been intimidated back into their homes because, they say upwards of between 60 and 100,000 citizens were brutally murdered by this regime.
I've heard that. Amazing.
Yeah, and so what he is saying is that at the end of the day, the citizens have to take the country over. So have we weakened the regime, and have we weakened the guard down to where the citizens could rise up again and take control? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big part of the equation.
Yeah.
All right, coming up a little bit later on, Joshua Phillips will be with us. He's a great guy, and we'll be talking to him about all kinds of things, but reacts to the peace deal with Iran and why the Chinese Communist Party is prioritizing political control over certain things these days. They're very much alive and well. Bill Gallagher will be in the house. We have a lot to talk to him about. So some good conversation coming your way. Stick around.
Good. Hey, information, not just news, but information in general. We're being barraged by it. Well, Dr. Anthony George says there's another news feed you need to be following that might get it all straightened out.
So on the surface, it appeared Martha was just worried about getting dinner on the table, and she was resentful. She was doing it all by herself. But Jesus said, you're worried about a whole lot more than Mary not being in the kitchen with you. And so are we. We are a stressed out society. We have so much on our plates. And there are so many pressures that we face today that we would have never thought we would have to face. Family responsibilities, bills that need to be paid, decisions about housing, where to live, job demands, conflict in our personal relationships, health concerns, and even crises, all of these things. And I want to say this to you. We are the targets of an anxiety industry. I believe that the world system has been designed by the chief architect called Satan. And Satan uses everything in what we're living in today called the communications age. Now that we have these phones and we're glued to them, if you want to know what stress is, wonder where your phone is. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? Have you ever done that? Have you ever left it in a restaurant? You want to talk about 911 panic moment. Why? Because everything we have is on it. Everything we need is on it. Now we're going cashless and we're doing pay with it. And we're doing our apps and paying our bills and this, everything like this. But let me tell you what the enemy's doing. He's flooding our minds with an unbroken stream of fear-inducing, anxiety-causing information. And if you don't intentionally break away from it, it's going to eat at you like a cancer growing on the inside of you. It is an anxiety industry. I did this on Friday. I just started scrolling the headlines on my Apple News feed. When I got my new phone about 20 years ago, it hadn't been that long, but I am on an 11. I don't like changing. But when I got that Apple News app, you go in there and set your interest level about the stories you'd kind of get, and that's the kind of feed I get. And I just started looking every single headline. By the time I looked at about 8 or 10 headlines, I said, "Dear Father, the world's about to come to an end." I'm not kidding you. I was taking on the spirit, and let me tell you, you can even see the bias of the reporter in the headline. You already know the junk you're going to read before you click it open and read it. But what I got news for you is to say, there's a better feed than that. There's this feed right here, the news feed of the Word of God.
Well, there you go. We are anxious today, and all these devices have ratcheted us up. No question.
True. Yep.
Well, listen, if you ever wonder if you could pick up the phone and call God, well, try Jeremiah 33:3. That's his phone number. It says, "Call unto me, and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which you do not know." Talk to him today. Spend time with him today, and let him have time to talk back to you today. All right, good to see you, Steve. Talk to you tomorrow, buddy. Okay.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express, breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
I'm Susanna, and I contracted KA Designs to do custom cabinets throughout my house. We chose a really beautiful maple wood that really creates like a nice airy space. Everything was custom, and it was really cool because I got to literally see it come to life in person. We love to entertain, and we have a large family, so everything came together perfectly, exactly what I wanted. I highly suggest KA Designs if you're looking to design your dream house. Go check them out in their showroom. You will not be disappointed.
I'm Paulina Leiser. Join me as we explore the beauty and depth of Orthodox Christianity on the ancient church, Sundays on theDove TV.
Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and always a delight when we have time to sit down with Joshua Phillips. This guy is in the know. He's an award-winning investigative journalist and the senior investigative reporter with Epoch Times. He is also the host of the Epoch TV program Crossroads. His reporting focuses on national security, China, and global political affairs, and he's become widely recognized for his early investigation into the origin of COVID-19. He was one of the guys right on top of it as it relates to the lab in Wuhan, China. You can go to epochtimes.com is the website, and you can find his show Handle at Crossroads with Josh Phillips there on YouTube. You can check that out as well. Joshua, good to see you again, friend. How are you?
It's always a pleasure and doing well. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Well, they're reporting a deal's been made. What do you think? What do you know?
Yeah, well, they say they came to a deal. They're going to finalize it this weekend. We don't know much about it yet. Strait of Hormuz is opening immediately. That's kind of the big news with this. Israel, they're not very happy about it. So we'll have to see what comes out from this because, they're going to be one of the parties on a peace deal, of course. But again, we'll get the details on it this weekend. We can just go by a bit of what we know from the earlier negotiations.
A couple things that we do know. One is it's creating a 60-day ceasefire. That tells you there's got to be some limits or caution here. And according to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, that this is not a path to a bomb, it's a wall from getting a bomb. I'm still kind of scratch my brain. Do you really think we can trust the Iranian Guard to give up nuclear weapons?
No, plain and simple. And I think Trump would have said that before also. In fact, he was saying it for several years. When Obama made a deal, when Biden made a deal, Trump was saying, you can't make a deal with these guys. They're never going to honor it. I do wonder what the long-term goal is on preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. Part of the deal will include getting the quote-unquote nuclear dust out of Iran. You know, Trump's been referring to these bombed-out underground bunkers that, you know, they blew up. Some of that will include probably boots on the ground operations to go dig that all up and get the nuclear materials out. I would assume there's also going to be probably a third party involved somewhere to do checks, make sure Iran is not engaging in trying to build a nuclear weapon. But you know, as you mentioned, they're not known to honor deals like this. They never have in the past.
Back home, do you think this provided the president an opportunity to get this whole thing past the 4th of July?
I think so. You know, and this is where it's hard, right? I think many would say that Trump is maybe making a deal too early. Again, Israel's very unhappy about it. Iran was kind of set up to be the new leader of Iran. Iran killed roughly 40,000 of its own people just over the last several months with mass protests. At the same time, regime change does not always work in these regions, as we've experienced. It certainly did not work in Afghanistan. Debatably worked in Iraq, which is not really talked about as much. But, you know, it's a gamble with these countries, whether you can do regime change successfully. The other question is, what role will Iran play, you know, over the future of the Strait of Hormuz? Will America take over Karg Island? Trump has been saying that's going to be part of his goal. But again, it's all up in the air until this weekend.
Is it possible the president announces they have a deal. It's not signed, won't be signed until Friday, okay? He's heading to G7. Stock market this morning has gone through the roof. Oil prices have dropped below 80. Is it possible that he goes to the world stage and he tells them we have a deal? So the whole world now knows that there's a deal. We don't know all the elements of the deal, but there's a deal. Is it possible that he is saying to the world, we have a deal, where deep down inside he knows that Iran's going to break the deal, and therefore Iran gets blamed and not the United States?
It's possible, and we have seen this. It has been the case where Trump says we're working on a deal, we're almost there, and then Iran launches an attack, a drone attack on a ship. Or it happens that, Israel and Iran exchange fire, or something like this happens. It is totally possible, and frankly, we've seen it kind of over and over again. It has not been easy to bring these countries to the table to negotiate. As Trump has mentioned, and many others have mentioned also, the Iranian regime is splintered right now. That there's pros and cons to killing a country's leadership. The pro is you take out the leadership. The con is you don't necessarily get to negotiate with a single party anymore. And so, we'll see where it's at. Trump seems pretty confident with this. He is making a big deal about it as kind of the final step in this whole thing. But as you mentioned, it's we have seen it go both ways before.
So, Israel was left out of the final planning. They were not part of the final negotiations. What's that tell you?
Well, that's going to be a tough one because, in reality, this is not so much a war between the United States and Iran. This is more a war between Israel and Iran. And the American involvement with this, started off with just kind of with us backing up some of their operations. The only major operation we took part in, aside from, just smaller exchanges, of course, was the destruction of their main nuclear facility when Trump sent in the B-2 bombers to go blow it up. For the most part, though, rocket exchanges, missile exchanges, the real main line front of the war has been Israel and Iran. Israel not really buying in with this. I don't know how you're going to make a peace deal when one of the two countries that's the main people involved is not on the table with it. But Israel's stance with this seems very complicated also. I think they really want regime change. I don't think they're going to tolerate an Iran that can stand on its own 2 feet. And maybe that is the future. I think they want an Iran that does not pose any kind of future threat, so that they want the threat off the table. And then, of course, there's the issue that Trump, I think, is trying to rush this through because he wants the Strait of Hormuz open because gas prices, and not only that, but the future of, petroleum-based fertilizers is kind of at risk right now. So it's a complicated situation on that.
Okay. 60-day ceasefire, from what I understand, as of this morning, it's to include Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthis, in addition to Iran lobbying things to Israel and to its neighbors. Prior to the deal, the president unloaded again, supposedly, on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for responding to an attack from Lebanon, Hezbollah. He's not asking Israel just sit there and take it, is he?
He kind of is, to be honest. Which, from Israel's standpoint, is not something they're willing to really do. From their standpoint, they're fighting a terrorism war, and if you let terrorists carry out attacks without retaliation, they're like, well, geez, what are you asking of us? On Trump's side, he would argue, and this was Trump's statement, right? He said, look, the attacks you're responding to did not result in any deaths. They were attacks, but they were not really destructive. And so, launching large-scale retaliation when the destruction caused by the initial attack was not really theirs is not a smart move when you're in the middle of negotiations. You have to look at the big picture. But again, on Israel's side, they're saying, well, look, the big picture is we have all these tribal groups trying to kill us. And, what do you want us to do? Just sit on our hands? For them, that's not really, they're not saying that's an option right now.
All along, the president said that Iran can't have nukes. All along, Israel said it has to be a regime change in Iran. If there's a regime change, then you could control or eliminate nukes. But if you're trying to eliminate nukes and leave the regime, what are you gaining here?
Well, and this is probably going to be the harder point with all of this. In terms of terrorism, the real strength of all of this is Hezbollah, and they're a global network. They're all throughout the Middle East. They're all throughout Latin America. There's probably a lot of elements even here in the United States because of the open border policies. If the United States gets in a war and Hezbollah gets activated against us, not just against Israel, we're going to have a problem on our hands too. The other side with it, though, is the issue of regime change, and especially the Iranian people, because a lot of the Iranian people are not really happy with the regime either. In fact, I have some good contacts. Iranian contacts have been saying this. Like, there's a lot of backing in Iran right now for regime change as well. This is not just some kind of foreign interest thing. And again, this is a regime that in the recent protests has killed somewhere around 40,000 Iranian civilians. I don't know how stable the regime is going to be, even if a deal is made. So maybe regime change will be inevitable, and that could swing either way for U.S. interests too, because then who do you negotiate with?
It's been said the ideal situation is to get Iran where it is now, very weak. It's weak in its structure, with the Revolutionary Guard versus the Supreme Leader. And I guess the Supreme Leader's father's funeral is going to be held here in the next couple of days. But how do we open the door for the citizens to feel confident enough to come back on the streets and take over? Because we may be blowing it with this deal if you leave a regime intact.
And that has been part of the criticism from the Iranian people, actually. And Israel has been kind of on that too, although I think more in a cautious way. For the Iranian people, what their experience is, they went on the streets, they protested, they got massacred. The regime actually went to the hospitals and then killed people while they were in the hospitals.
Right.
And then even tracked down family members and so on, tracked people down and killed them as well. And so there's really kind of a domestic, a democide going on against people who don't support the regime. Then you have the issue of large-scale censorship, information control. Is the United States, do we do business with countries like this? Normally we sanction countries for abusing human rights like this. And so it does raise kind of an ethical question on what does America stand for, on that front. But also, even for the Iranian people, will they feel betrayed? Will they feel abandoned? a lot of them did believe that that maybe they were going to get their country back, and that's not really happening right now. And it should be noted too that for Iran, a lot of Iranians in the U.S., they don't call themselves Iranian; they call themselves Persian. The reason they do that is they do not recognize the legitimacy of the Iranian regime. Prior to '79, many would say that Iran was a Western country in terms of culture, in terms of the way of life, in terms of what their experience was. And so they're not like some backwoods kind of, tribal, like Afghan type country. They're a little different culturally. So, we'll see what they end up demanding in the end.
Do they have enough arms to revolt and succeed?
I don't think they do personally, but that could change, of course. The old shadow war type thing you have going on. And in that region, there's, of course, no shortage of firearms floating around either. So they without a doubt, could stage a rebellion or an insurgency. Without a doubt, there could be an uprising taking place. They're not like Americans when it comes to guns, but I do think getting guns would not be the hardest thing ever.
One last question before I take a break. The people who have agreed to the deal, does it go all the way to the supreme leader, or does that become the condition for a deal falling through? In other words, the Revolutionary Guard, limits of them, make a deal with the president, the remaining Revolutionary Guard, who's against what they're doing, and the supreme leader against the deal, and it falls apart. Or am I being too skeptical here?
Details are a bit thin right now. My current take is Trump is talking to the highest leadership. He made a big point about this on Truth Social. He's talking to the highest leadership. It seems that in the past, what he's blamed this falling through the cracks on before was that there was a disconnect in command structure between leadership and the Houthis, and leadership and Hezbollah, and there's so many branches of Hezbollah, and so their own systems of communication were not really there. They didn't know who was in charge. It seems to be the case that he's talking to people who he believes can actually control all these different tribal factions and everything.
All right. Let me take a quick break. Check out Joshua's, I've got a couple of places. The epochtimes.com. There's that landing page. Great resource. Very popular. And you can find his podcast on YouTube handle at Crossroads with Joshua Phillip. Right there is for that as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Your sweet tooth just became a force for good. The Salvation Army's Taste Good, Do Good Challenge is on June 5th through the 30th. And local bakeries, restaurants, and shops are serving up exclusive treats you can only get during the challenge. Hit different spots, collect punches, and vote for the best bite in town. And every delicious stop helps support local kids and veterans right here in our community. Start your adventure at tastegooddogood.net.
Once again, our very own Dove TV was recognized for excellence by the National Religious Broadcasters with the prestigious Station of the Year Award for 2026.
And this year's recipient of TV Station of the Year Award is Dove TV.
This makes 9 times the Dove has been honored by our peers with this celebrated national award. We're grateful, and another reason to stay encouraged and informed by watching and supporting the Dove TV.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, gonna let it shine. Oh, shine.
honor to have back with us today Joshua Phillips, award-winning journalist and senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times. And you can check out his television program, Crossroads, a couple of places. Well, the primary place is YouTube, on YouTube, at handle at Crossroads with Joshua Phillip. And there's a picture of the landing page. Joshua, you do a lot of tracking and investigating on China. Where is China in all this? What's going on in Iran? What's happening?
So my personal take, China is actually probably the main actor that really matters with all of this. The Chinese Communist Party, with many of these conflicts, is kind of the puppet master, so to speak. Not only just with the Iranian regime, but even with some of the proxy terrorist organizations, Hezbollah, especially all throughout Latin America, tied in with the drug cartels. China's the money launderer. China's the one giving a lot of the support with precursor chemicals, synthetic drugs, kind of the hidden hand behind trafficking. With the Iran itself, China's most of their economy. Most of their trade is with China. And so the Chinese Communist Party, without it, Iran really doesn't exist as any kind of power in the world. Same thing with Russia, same thing with a handful of other countries. And so whatever the CCP wants is what Iran is going to be forced into, which, by the way, I think is what Trump was kind of playing at when he did the counter lockdown of the Strait of Hormuz and basically blocked China's oil supply. I think what he did was behind the scenes forced the CCP's leaders, China, to actually pressure Iran into a deal, which was a very interesting move.
Okay, so the other thought I have is if the blockade is removed and the Straits of Hormuz is opened up immediately, two things occur here. One is Iran starts to have cash flow again, and China gets oil again. And is it possible, wild and crazy, is it possible that the money that China is paying Iran for oil could turn around and purchase a bomb from them?
Yeah. Well, China has been supplying Iran with most of its weaponry, which is the other big picture. So the small arms, you're talking AK-47s, shoulder-fired rockets, things like that. It sounds crazy, but a lot of that comes from North Korea. North Korean arms dealers are the two major arms dealers in that region, especially in Iran. The higher end weaponry, you're talking drone technology, you're talking, their anti-air systems, radar systems, that all comes from China. And also some of the rocket systems, other things ties in with China, but also Russia. So without a doubt, and also Trump was trying to stop some of those shipments as well during this conflict coming from China, which is also why I think he did the counter blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, blocking China's oil supply unless they also, which was part of his negotiations as well with Xi Jinping, actually forced China to stop supplying Iran with weaponry. So, yeah, that is also a huge part of this.
A little bit of a side note, I was surprised to find out Pakistan was trying to, host some of these peace deals and peace agreements, but at the same time, they're allowing trains to run through their through their country to supply Iran. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so it's complicated. So Pakistan gets a lot of U.S. support. Pakistan is also very close to Russia, not just geographic, but politically, but also close to the Chinese Communist Party politically. And so Pakistan is kind of a middle-of-the-road country, but leans much more heavily in favor of China than the United States. It's true also they're one of the trade corridors, especially when you get into the areas like Balochistan, which is a semi-autonomous region. As you start getting down there, it also gets dicey. Even China deals with terrorist attacks, for example, there. So difficult tribal region. Not everybody gets along. And just because you have a country with borders doesn't mean that the tribes view it the same way. It's a very dicey region. But it is true that Pakistan is helping with some of the negotiations right now as well. They're kind of one of the mediators.
Okay, I want to come back to the straits being opened up. I'm just in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, boy, that just kind of refuels everything. I mean, that puts everything back to square one, doesn't it? Kind of, sort of?
It does. Which for the negotiations, politically, this is where some people are criticizing Trump. Some people think he's doing this for the midterms. Some because, he's trying to end this because the economic harm is too great. For the United States, this doesn't affect us that much. We don't get a lot of our oil through the Strait of Hormuz. But the problem you have with the oil markets is they're global. So if the prices go up in Europe or China, they go up here too. You could argue that maybe playing the long game, waiting it out, politically may be a better choice for us. Strategically may be a better choice for us. Trump was threatening to basically destroy the Iranian infrastructure, take over the oil industry and gas industry, which would be fantastic for the United States. But of course, that would also require long-term security operations there, which do we want to get another Iraq or Afghan war? I don't think we do. So politically, economically, may be advantageous to wait it out. In the long term, short-term interest, absolutely Trump wants to take in mind the midterm elections. If we don't open it up quickly, it's also going to start affecting the food supply because, unfortunately, frankly, a lot of fertilizers are petroleum based. So we need that oil, at least in the short term. And then also the other issue is I think Trump wants to bring back American oil production. And in reality, this whole conflict has actually spurred on that effort. The problem is we don't really have things up and running, supply chain set up to really handle the type of demand in place right now. So you could argue it would be better for him to wait it out in some ways, but the short-term harm is very great as well.
Okay, so he solves the world economic problem by opening the straits. He gets oil flowing. That's a big deal. But there's still no guarantee that Iran is going to go along with everything else, especially giving up their nukes. So it's possible that oil starts to flow, the economy's kind of settled down a little bit, but we are still heading towards a conflict maybe somewhere around August. I'm trying to figure out.
It's possible.
I just don't see Iran playing ball here.
It's a 2-month ceasefire. That's not a forever one. Yeah, we got a 2-month ceasefire in place, and the hard reality is, although Trump's saying this is the deal, every time they've gotten a ceasefire in place before, they've violated it. Somebody violated it, and it only takes one crazy tribal group out in the middle of the desert to violate it, and the whole thing's back on, as we've seen again and again. And so, yeah, for the on the American side, I think Trump is very set on not getting us into another war. He walked back those statements and said, I never promised I wouldn't get us into another war. On Israel's side, they're saying this is going to have to be a ground war at some point. I don't think Americans have a very good taste in their mouths for another ground war in the Middle East. I really don't think many Americans would support that. And so midterms are going to play into that. It's messy. It's a very messy issue.
Scripture says we're supposed to think like a snake and act like a dove. So let me be a snake for a moment, and that would be a good time to blow up this deal would be around the 4th of July and really have egg in President's face.
You get some extra fireworks there, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not trying to be cynical. The point is that there is no track record whatsoever, zero record, that this deal's going to last. And so the question is...
Well, this is from a broader geopolitical stance, that this is where things get really complicated.
Mm-hmm.
The enemies of the United States don't view us as a single country. They view us as multiple countries. They view us as a country that changes politically and culturally every 4 to 8 years with our election system. So in their eyes, Trump is on one side, the Democrats or even the Democratic Socialists, if they can get in, on another. And the long game for them, the real victory for them, would probably be to get a Democrat socialist into power. And if they could drag this out, damage the reputation of Trump, use Israel as their main political narrative, which they have been doing, they might be able to get a Democrat socialist in office. And that means politically, the people in charge of the U.S., or at the very least, some people in Congress, would be much more in their favor. So for them, that would be the real victory. And that victory would involve throwing some egg in Trump's face.
Yeah, interesting. Joshua, I don't know how you sleep at night knowing all you know.
Like a baby waking up every 2 hours crying for mama.
Thank you for your time. You always give it to us. We value it. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, go to epochtimes.com. That's the website for the publication there. Check out his television program called Crossroads, and that's on YouTube. Handle at Crossroads with Joshua Phillip right there. Thank you, friend. God bless you. Stay in the fight.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? When you want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life, call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site, in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare. Your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Welcome back. Bill Gallagher's in the house, which means buckle your seatbelt. Here we go. Bill is a pastoral counselor, and he's also the founder of TeamWorks, which is a great organization that'll come into your organization and help you with all kinds of issues. You can go to teamworks-works.com is his website, and sign up for his little email newsletter you send out once in a while. You still doing that?
I don't do it as much.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I haven't seen it.
Well, I'm
What's the
retired
surprise for me? Because usually you're in my email at least 3 times a day.
Believe it or not, I'm retired now. And
no.
So the company that used to do it, we don't do it. But if anyone ever wants one, I mean, I got 45 different newsletters. Yeah. It's on my website. They're on my website, though. They can go to my website.
Okay, and that is?
Teamworks-works.com.
Oh, that one there.
Teamworks. 45 newsletters, all based on workplace morale.
Okay.
I want to check one of those out, people.
Workplace morale. All right. Anyway, we're here to talk about something that it is so big that not even Bill Gallagher can handle it.
No, I just got to go to the scripture on this one.
Yeah, suffering. Why does God allow evil? Why does God allow suffering?
A loving God.
A loving
God. The most asked question, why does a loving God allow suffering and pain?
Yeah.
And today my focus is actually for his people. I mean, it's part of life. It's part of the life for everybody, both the threads that are dark and the threads that are bright, that put together the fabric of our life. It's part of God's purposes for his people. And the most asked question is, you've probably met Christians before who, unfortunately, God forbid, maybe one of their children passed away, and that's the last time they go to church, and that's the last time they want to hear about Christ. So it's a very common phenomena. Why would a loving God allow this, Perry?
Is not having an answer sometimes okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least initially.
I've been in situations where I don't have the answer to it.
Yeah, there are answers, but if someone is deeply grieving, that's not the time to give the answer. What we do as believers, we've talked about this many times, is we listen, we cry with them, we are just there. But if they are interested enough to ask sometime, why would a loving God do this? And I really want to know what your answer is. And then the door is open to give some explanation, which is still complicated and still difficult. The bottom line is whatever he allows in our life is not a mistake. Do you believe, folks, that we serve a God that doesn't make mistakes? Well, we do. But he takes the things that he allows for his purposes that are painful and heartbreaking and confusing and maddening, and he works it out for the ultimate good of who we are in his glory and honor.
So, let's do some basic fundamentals here. Part of it is, do we believe in the sovereignty of God?
Yes. Yes, that I think you have to start there. Sovereignty of God, folks, means that he's in control of everything at all times.
Right.
And, you know, he's the great weaver. He weaves, like I said, the fabric of our life with dark and bright threads. And a life is actually not normal or ultimately healthy unless you have both threads. We just seem to get bitter when he needs to use a dark thread in our life. And there's only one answer for us, and I'll bring it up at the end. I have a book that I recommend for our listeners to read, and that is trust. Trust the sovereign God without any answers other than he loves you, he's in control, he always has been, and he turns things for good.
So it's a Romans 8:28.
Romans 8 is the foundation of this mystery. It is the foundation of the mystery of why God allows pain and suffering. That's not the end of the story, for one thing.
Yeah.
The pain and the suffering. So Romans 8 is the go-to, really. And as far as Romans, I'm getting ahead of myself, but folks, memorize Romans 8:28. Memorize it. Romans also 17 and 18 is very, very good, because he says that the pain and the suffering of this life for God's people cannot be compared to the glory of eternal life that we will have for eternity.
Okay, so let's start off here. Somebody has something really tragic happen, and they come to you and they say, why would a loving God allow this? The big question. Okay, how do you approach answering that before you answer it?
Well, I think it depends. It depends on if they're in the middle of the grief right then, or this is just a question of interest, or it may be an entrapment question. So it depends who's asking it. If someone is in the middle of grief because their spouse was in a car accident yesterday, it's not really time to give the answer. It's just a time to grieve and say, look, let me just be here with you. Let me pray with you. Let me hold your hand. Let me just walk with you through this time of suffering. But when the time is right, there are some biblical explanations that do give peace. And can I share one of them now?
Well, let me set one more question up, because I once we get in there, we're going to stay there.
Yes.
Okay. Part of the surmising of the moment, and I guess it has a lot to do with how recent the event is or whatever.
Yes.
But you made the comment, sometimes people are just blown away. Some people are so angry they can't see straight.
Yes.
I mean, you have to evaluate that before you approach it.
You must. Timing is everything. We just ask the Lord, just give us wisdom right now while they're even asking us.
Yeah.
Lord Jesus, give us wisdom through the Holy Spirit right now. But there are biblical answers, and there's biblical reasons why God allows both in our life. The most miraculous thing about it is for his people, he takes it, he maneuvers it, he uses it, he loves us through our pain. He allows us to shake our fist at him. He's got very broad and kind shoulders. And as time goes on, things start to make a little bit more sense for many. Maybe not for all, but for many. So let me just start with this. This could be very helpful. When I was a Bible college student preparing for the pastorate in the Bay Area there, we all had different responsibilities other than study. And my responsibility was to, every Wednesday, Pastor Weston, Charles Weston, I don't know if you remember that name. He was in the Assemblies of God many, many years ago, but he was 85 years old. And he was on our staff. And so, he had been teaching the Bible for 65 years at that point. And this man was very, very powerful, and he was very anointed. That's the words we would use. But my job was every Wednesday to take him to a swimming pool because he had some problems with his legs, a therapeutic swimming pool, and I would walk with him up and down the pool for probably an hour. Probably the greatest honor of my life to be with a man of that stature and to ask him any question I want. Well, prior to this one Wednesday, it must have been a Monday or Tuesday, I got a phone call for our church. We got a phone call about a young man who had a very rare disease, who was in a lot of pain and dying. Would I go see him? So I did that. I walked in, and what I found was a 20-year-old man who looked like he was about maybe a 12-year-old boy, kind of laying fetal in bed in the hospital room, moaning and groaning and crying. And I found out that he had a rare disease called Papin's disease. They named it after him. His father actually was in the Bay Area, and he was some kind of political position. He had Papin's disease. It was so rare. And I was trying to talk with him, and he just moaned and cried the entire time. The next day, I went to meet with that pastor like I did every Wednesday, and I said, Pastor, I have a question for you. I have no answer for. I do not understand why God would allow this young man to be in chronic pain with no relief without some kind of intervention. Why would God allow people to suffer like this? And he says, well, Bill, the biblical answer is because of the fall of mankind. When Adam and Eve chose to sin and go against God's command to not do what they did, we inherited their sinful DNA that is a part of every person who's ever been born life, and we're born into sin. And with that sin comes a nature of rebellion. So God has not willed, so to speak, or brought onto him this vicious, painful death. It started way before the time he got sick. It started in the Garden of Eden. It's the fall of man. And that's why we do have heartbreak and loss and joy and love for Christ, because it's part of the fall of mankind. And for some reason, I was a relatively younger believer too at that point. For some reason, that made biblical sense until you go through it.
Yeah, right.
But that's probably the best answer, the most biblical answer that can be proven by Scripture that I have received.
Okay. Great answer. And I think at times, this goes back to the sovereignty of God. If we don't understand the fall, we won't understand the process, we won't understand the walk.
Yeah.
We won't understand the need for born again.
Yeah, yeah.
So
there's a young lady I know that her father was tragically killed. And I talked to her about it years ago. Devastated the family. He didn't live in the area, and they were going to meet him soon, but he was tragically killed. And I asked her, I said, can you talk to me about that? She's a Christian woman, and how you survived that. And she said, my whole world instantly was turned upside down. This is a believer. My whole world was instantly turned upside down. And she said a lot of beautiful things. But at the same time, there was an incredible sense of peace. Now, how does that happen? We know that the suffering's going to come. And as Christians, folks, we are not exempt from the same trials and pain that people that are not Christians go through as well.
Yeah. However, good reminder.
I think one of the most important things with that is we're not exempt from it. Christians have cancer. Christians go blind. Christians get in car accidents. Christians are robbed and murdered. However, because we have Christ, we respond ultimately differently than people who don't have Christ, and that is a very powerful testimony.
Wow. All right, let me take a quick break. Go to teamworks-works.com. That's Bill's website there. A lot of resources there. And again, if dealing with HR staff issues, he's the guy. Call him in. Anyway, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Applegate River Golf and RV Resort, a pristine 9-hole course alongside the Applegate River. Their clubhouse offers a golf simulator experience. The RV Resort is adjacent to the golf course with convenient pull-through parking. Applegate River Golf and RV Resort. Information at applegaterv.com.
Men of Southern Oregon, please join us for our next Game Changers, June 27th, with Eddie Penny. He's the author of Unafraid. He was on SEAL Team 6. He's got a thriving ministry and podcast. Can't wait for you guys to hear his story. He'll be in Grants Pass, June 27th, 6 p.m. That's the time of our event. The meal will be at 5 p.m. Please join us June 27th with Eddie Penny at the next Game Changers. Register online at gamechangersnorthwest.org. See you then.
When life feels heavy, your body feels it, your mind feels it. That is why I created Organic Elements Wellness Spa, a place where wellness is not a luxury, it's a way of life. Step into our wellness lounge with a Himalayan salt room, infrared sauna, steam room, and invigorating cold plunge. Restore your nervous system, detox your body, and clear your mind. Then experience customized massage, advanced skin therapies, and result-driven facials, all designed to help you look as good as you feel. There's nothing else like this in Southern Oregon. This is your space to heal, to reset, to glow. Call today to book your private wellness party for up to 15 guests or surprise someone special with a gift certificate.
Visit Organic Elements Wellness Spa on East Main Street in Medford. Book online at organicelementspa.com. Wellness is wholeness. Voted best of Southern Oregon.
All right, welcome back. Bill Gallagher's with us, counselor, pastoral counselor, and heads up TeamWorks. And you can go to teamworks-works.com is the website. There's the picture of that landing page. We're talking about the big question. How can a loving God allow these horrible things to happen? Why does a loving God allow evil in the world and bad things to happen to good people? And these are the big questions. Those of us who have been in these intimate situations with people, I have to tell you, takes a lot of patience and wisdom.
and trust.
And trust,
God
yeah,
has
and
to give
time.
us the ability to trust beyond our own ability, for sure.
All right, so the first thing you did was we believers are not exempt from the curse of the sin other than through the shedding of the blood of Jesus on the cross. I get that, and we're born again, but that doesn't remove us from the overall human experience of dealing with living on this planet and all the things that's going on, and ourselves getting cancer, ourselves having heart attacks, ourselves having all these problems, divorces and everything else.
Oh boy.
But the question does remain, why does God allow it?
Yes, because He's God, and He's the Creator, and as far as His people go, He loves us deeply. Christ died for our sins, and nothing is more precious to the heart of the Father than those that follow His Son. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, that would be the only reason, I think, clear reason why people don't go to heaven is they reject Christ. I mean, the Bible's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Really, really, really clear. But there's a lot of wonderful, a lot of wonderful verses, Bible verses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in order to understand what's not understandable naturally, we have to go to the scriptures that aren't understood naturally. They're only understood by God's touching our heart and the Holy Spirit opening our mind. That's what the Bible says about. But there's some great verses. Listen to this one. This is Psalms 34, verse 18. He is close to those who are brokenhearted and crushed in spirit. The picture I have is that if you're going through dealing with a broken heart and you're just crushed, there is no hope in your mind. There is nothing good. You don't even want to live anymore. Christ moves closer in, if that's possible, to those who are brokenhearted and crushed in spirit. He actually moves in to give us the grace that we need.
So how do you get a closed down person to see that? How do you get a person who's in the middle of the grief or in the middle of the anger to open up to that idea?
Well, you just have to, we all need time. We just need time. We need a friend. We need someone that's not going to preach at them, but at the same time be there and walk with them. I think I've told you this story before. It was written by a father who lost 3 sons 3 different times. I've mentioned this. And he wrote a book called something about a hearse. A hearse. And his last son had died, and he was at a get-together afterwards, where they're eating sandwiches and telling stories. And 3 or 4 Christians went up to him and tried to help them, solace him, by giving lame biblical excuses, such as he's in a better place now.
Oh boy.
And all of these verses, all things work together for good, is probably one of the most abused passages, yet one of the most hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
And it just was breaking his heart, and they finally left. And finally, one other man came in and sat down next to him, said nothing, and started crying with him. And he wrote in his book, I couldn't wait for the first biblical advice people to go. But when the man that listened to me and held my hand and cried with me and prayed for me left, I wish he would come back.
Yeah.
So, there's a timing to help people through their cause, but there are biblical answers.
The great hymn, It's Well With My Soul.
It is well with my soul. I mean, that's probably the ultimate story. And Joseph, folks, I just want to leave you a couple scriptural assignments, biblical assignments. I mean, if truly you have lost hope, or you're really questioning God's love for you or for your family or anything along those lines, you're very becoming bitter at what the Lord has allowed in your life. Could be divorce, loss of a loved one, someone passed you up with a promotion when you should have got it at work, any number, hundreds of things. You need to know that there's a passage in the scripture that you should read, and to me, it is what's going to take you deeper than any other text or story, and that's the life of Joseph. So read, please read. I have another book I'm going to recommend before we get off the air. Genesis chapter 37 through 50. Genesis 37 through 50. Because other than maybe Job, who lost 10 kids in one day and ended up having a better life in the end because he got more children, other than Job, there's not a better story in the scriptures than the life of Joseph, who was thrown in prison for nothing he did for 13 years. He wasn't in prison for something he did. He was in prison for something he didn't do. 13 years. And you know the story. You've got to read it. There's not a better story other than the life of Christ. God raises him up and makes him the prince of Egypt.
Yeah.
Gets his family back. And so if you want to understand the tapestry of our life and how God weaves the dark with the bright, there's not a better story than the life of Joseph. Genesis 37:50. You say, well, I've already read that. I've already had 20 sermons on that. Too bad. Get in. If you got to get on your knees and read it and pray for God to help you with every paragraph, it'll change your life.
Good. The book?
The book. This is a book that's been out a couple years. It's called The Red Sea Rules. They have it. They can put it on the screen. Red Sea Rules. And the subtitle is The Same God Who Led You In Will Lead You Out. And another subtitle is 10 God-Given Strategies for Difficult Times. I'm telling you, it's one of these small books that you've seen, people. 2 pages a chapter. It is one of the best books you can get your hands on facing your difficult times with just 2 pages a day. And it's very, very powerful. And of course, the authors using the Red Sea experience in Exodus as the example. Very, very good book, The Red Sea Rules.
Okay, I'm trying to manage the time here. What is the biggest don't do when you're confronting somebody that's been devastated and they're questioning God?
Start preaching at them. Start giving them scriptures right away.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I mean, you've seen this. You've done funerals yourself. Most people don't start really getting hit by the devastation and the darkness of the loss till about 3 or 4 months later, after the gifts are opened, after the cake is gone. It's 3 or 4 months later. And then, you know, when I was at Trail, we had a grief counseling ministry.
Right.
And most people, as far as that level of loss and pain, were able to celebrate their first Christmas 3 years later. It took about 3 years for them to start to feel a little bit of joy. So the worst thing to do is to start preaching them or judging them because they're not trusting the Lord and they don't have joy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can you believe how stupid that is and how unbiblical that is?
But you know what's interesting, and you and I both have been more than you than me, but I've had people that were miscounseled. And by the time you got double jeopardy, so to speak, they're dealing with the loss that started all this, and now they're dealing with the damage and how they were treated because they weren't responding correctly.
Yeah.
And I've always kept in the back of my mind, and in time in dealing with people, I'll say something like, you know what, you'll never get over this.
Yeah.
You'll never get over it, but you will get through it.
Yeah, that's right. Great phrase.
But you'll never get over it, and you shouldn't.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, and unknowingly and ignorantly, some of the greatest offenders for people that are going through pain and what to say or not say are Christians. And so we just need to learn how to be quiet, at least in the beginning. And when they start asking questions, then we can give them verses. Then we can walk them through. And, I think that's what the Lord would have us do. I mean, he wept with Mary and Martha when their brother died, and he knew he was going to raise them up, and he still cried with them.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point.
Yes.
That was the shortest verse in the Bible.
Yeah. Jesus wept. Yeah. Very, very good. So there is hope. There's going to be times of confusion. There's going to be times of questioning the validity of the love of God. The only thing that we're left and asked to do is to trust that the Lord Jesus knows what he's doing. There is a plan. It will make sense someday. Just trust him and hang on to his hand.
All right. Teamworks-works.com. Hold up the book and then get this online. I'm sure at the bookstore. It's called what?
Red Sea Rules. You still have it. There it is on the line there. You can see. On the
Red Sea Rules. That's pretty cool.
It's a very good book,
By
folks.
Robert
You'll
Morgan.
love it.
Yeah.
It gives you something to think about and feel hope with every day, every time you read it.
Thanks for coming in, bud. Good to see you.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
We'll see you next time.
Since 1934, Grange Co-op has been more than just a store. We've been a cornerstone of our community, owned by people like you. We proudly offer top-quality farm and ranch supplies, including our own Rogue feed, as well as workwear, Western apparel, garden essentials, and pet care products. By signing up as a Grange Rewards customer, you not only enjoy exclusive benefits like special offers and 1% back on most purchases, but you also become part of something bigger, a cooperative that you own and help shape. Join Grange Rewards today.